I mean, there's clearly no instructions either. Oh my god, I feel like I'm gonna die. And it snapped the blade off. And it broke another freaking bit. Alright, so it is Monday morning. I was going to work today, and then that issue with my car started back up, and it was kind of shaking and being all weird, so I decided to bring it on back here. I did the whatever OBD test on it or whatever, so I am going to now attempt to secure this stuff so it doesn't fall out in case I have to drive this. Sorry. Loud ass truck going by. So like I said, I'm gonna try to secure this in case I end up needing to drive this before I put walls and everything up, because it's gonna be a while until I actually do the walls, because I need to do, you know, the windows, I need to do the wiring going through there. I'm gonna have to insulate, you know, these areas wherever there aren't windows or anything. So yeah, so I am going to my idea right now is just to duct tape across these sections. And then I was worried about if I took the duct tape off, it would end up ripping that stuff out. So I'm actually just going to leave it on there. So when I put the walls up, I'll just leave the duct tape on. And then I'm going to do some running around. I'm going to go grab the windows and stuff from where I have them currently stored. That way, if I want to today, it is above 40 today, but it's pretty wet. So I'm going to see exactly if I can get them installed today or not. I'm going to go through the instructions, see if there's any, I don't even know if there are any temperature requirements, because I'm not going to use any type of like caulk or anything on it, I don't think. So I'll have to go through those specific windows and see if they have any kind of instructions as far as that stuff goes. Yeah, so I am going to pick that stuff up. I'm going to grab another thing of insulation to finish up this side. And I also, before I can do that, I need to get all this stuff out of here so it's not rolling around while I'm trying to drive. And also, I have a space to drive. I need to clean that up as well. So lots to do. Okay, so I got some duct tape going there, and along the bottom there, and then also just a little bit over here. Hoping that will be enough. I mean, the bottom not really worried about, because it fits in there really nice, whereas the top, it's really, especially towards the back, it's really pushed out. So I'm hoping that is enough to hold it in there while I drive. So alright, I'm going to clean up this mess, and I think it'll be time to hit the road. Okay, by the way, I checked this before and then I forgot to really say anything, but it's definitely much drier now, but still in some of those real deep spots, it's kind of soft and a little bit squishy, just a little bit, so definitely not going to be messing with that. So I am going to focus on the insulation and all that instead. Okay, so I got everything out of here except this wood here. Just got some tools up there. I also got to get that extension cable moved over somewhere. Yeah, otherwise, looks like we are good to actually attempt to drive this on out of here and get some stuff done. Okay, so just got to my first destination, and so far everything is holding up good. Even the wood down there that's just laying on the floor didn't really move around at all. But the insulation, from what I can tell, hasn't really shifted at all, or if it did try to shift, the duct tape held it in place. So that's all looking good. So I'm gonna load up that stuff, grab the solar stuff, windows, all that kind of stuff. So that way now, because it's warm enough most of the time, I can actually start working on that. So I'm gonna grab all that, chuck it in here, and then head off to Home Depot to get that last bit of insulation I need to finish that part of the project. And one other thing I forgot to mention, so this insulation, even though it's only partially insulated, you know, the floor and then this wall, I noticed the ride is a lot quieter. I didn't do a ton of driving in this so far, but from those few drives I did before I did all this work, it was pretty noisy. It kind of sounded like I was driving with the doors open. But now, I mean, this was the longest drive I've done so far. It was probably a little over half an hour or something, and it was nice and quiet. It was really nice. And this is only, you know, partially insulated, so I'm really happy with this wool stuff. I know that they advertise it as being, you know, like a sound barrier, so it definitely seems to be working really well. Alright, so time to load up. Okay, so got a couple small things up here, sealant and different stuff, and then back here, got the inverter, 2 batteries, solar panel and windows in the other one. So that is all good, and we are here at the Home Depot. So I'm gonna go grab that insulation. Okay, so we are back here. Everything's back here. Got the insulation. So now I am going to try to figure out where I'm storing everything, and I'm going to see if either the windows came with instructions or if they are just online. I think there were instructions online when I bought them. So I looked it up and see exactly what they recommend for sealing it and all that kind of stuff, and see if that's something I could just take care of today and get those out of the way so they're out of the van and all taken care of. Yeah, so I just gotta figure out where I'm gonna put all this stuff. So I've been here just going through the instructions for those windows, and they don't make any sense. I don't know if the people that run this company, if that's like English is their second language, but they list what's needed for the install, and they list a couple different things, but then throughout the directions they only talk about some of those things. So then it's like, do you actually need the other things? If you do, when do you use it? How do you use it? And then they keep talking about using urethane to seal the windows, because these ones aren't ones that get like screwed in, they're just sealed in. But I can't find anything at any hardware store that is urethane sealant. I can find polyurethane sealant, and I can find other types of sealants that are like caulk and will seal things, but I don't know if I can actually use those or not, or if I have to order their special urethane sealant that apparently they're the only people in the world that make, because it doesn't seem to exist anywhere else. So yeah, I emailed them about those directions, seeing like, am I supposed to be using all this stuff or not? How am I supposed to be using it? So I'm gonna have to wait to hear back from them. Last time I emailed them about the shipping date and stuff, they got back to me pretty quick, I feel like. I don't really remember. So yeah, so I guess I'm just gonna figure out where I'm gonna store some of that stuff, and then just do the rest of the installation and get that taped into place, because I don't have any way to get on top of the van yet. I gotta get a ladder from somebody and use that. So I'm not going to be doing any type of solar pans, fans, anything like that today. And I was hoping to get started on the windows, but I don't even know what I'm supposed to be using, or if I can even possibly get it from a hardware store, if I have to get their special urethane stuff or not. So I'm going to have to keep looking into that. Alright, so I guess it's time to do the last bit of insulation. Alright, so I made the mistake of forgetting which way this was supposed to be cut open. So now I'm just holding this here with my knee to figure out how to not let this all fall out all over the place. But yeah, this stuff is all pretty huge, especially the solar panels and windows. And the batteries are super heavy, so I ended up just kind of consolidating everything and moving it all around. So the batteries are super heavy, they're holding that wood up there, and the windows are actually right underneath the insulation here. So yeah, so I am going to figure out how to deal with this mess I just made, and then get that insulation in there. Alright, so this is all stuffed in there, and the bottom is all done there. So I'm just going to put duct tape across it, just like the other spots, and that is all good to go. And then I guess I'm just going to do some more research on the windows, and also probably do a little bit of research on fan and solar and all that stuff while I'm at it. So that's really the next thing, really, before I can even finish this floor. That putty can take as long as it wants to now, because now I'm going to be focused on getting all this stuff out of these boxes and into place, whether windows, fans, solar, all that stuff. So yeah, so I just want to get that stuff going now that we are in warmer temperatures. So got to get a ladder at some point, and got to get going to figure out that urethane stuff for the windows. Alright, so just showing you guys this vacuum's going, so hopefully you can hear me. So what I went with is I ordered their kit that they have on here. They emailed back and said that the trim molding stuff is only needed if the window's going to be kind of like exposed on the inside. There's going to be no wall or anything, and I'm going to be putting up a wooden wall, so I'm not worried about that. Window securing tape, basically it's just tape. I looked at it, so I'm not gonna bother ordering that. But I went with their I'll click on it here so you can see it. So I couldn't find any solid information on the polyurethane as far as if it's good for going up against glass like that. Some were saying, yeah, they recommended different polyurethane sealant kind of things. And then some were saying, no, you absolutely cannot use polyurethane. So I finally decided I would get this Sikaflex stuff that they were recommending. And then this one comes with some kind of primer, and they, on their website, their instructions said to use that primer, and I kind of was just so burnt out from researching stuff that I was like, you know what, I can't research now primer too, and like what type of primer to use, and can I get away with using this? And this stuff isn't in any store around here from what I can find anyway, so I would have to order it either from Amazon or here or somewhere. So I just said screw it, and I just bought it off of here. So I'm not sure exactly how long it's going to take to ship. They didn't give me any information about that. But yeah, once I get that, then I'll be able to do the windows. So if they end up sending me an email and say it's going to take like 2 weeks or something, maybe I'll end up like getting a ladder this weekend and work on getting like the fan in, or positioning solar or something like that. Yeah, so that's that. So I kind of feel stupid for not more closely reading the directions when I was ordering it, because I could have just done this at the same time. But yeah, so now I'm just gonna wait for that. Alright, so it's been a few days. The temperature dropped way back down, so it is freezing again this weekend. It's Saturday morning, so I am gonna work on this weekend getting just other random stuff done, and then if I have time in between somewhere, I am hoping to go around, hand sand around those bolts and the edges. It's definitely all dry now, and just making sure that's all level. I don't need to add anything else. And then if it is all good and level, sanded and everything, then I will probably look into going to Lowe's to pick up a tiny paintbrush, because that paintbrush I have is good for just doing a big old board. But trying to get around those edges, around the bolts without making a mess, I'm going to want something smaller to make sure I can clean it up, make sure the edges is not like either there's a ton of stain or there's no stain, make sure it's all even and stuff. So yeah, so that's the plan for this weekend. Not going to be shooting for doing a ton of stuff just because it's super cold. So once again, even staining is going to be tough. I'm going to have to really just blast that heater in there and hope that it's warm enough. So yeah, and then next weekend, this whole coming week is going to be a lot warmer. I think next weekend they're calling for rain though, but I'm not sure if it's the whole weekend or what. But I'm hoping that there's enough dry time where I can actually hopefully get those windows going, because that sealant stuff I think came in. So I'm going to grab that, and then hopefully, like I said, either Saturday or Sunday, hopefully we get some time where it's not raining and I can get those in. Okay, so it is Sunday. I didn't do anything out here yesterday. Besides, I went to Lowe's and I picked up that little tiny brush for staining, the smaller stuff around the bolts and in the edges and stuff. And then I also got that little broom while I was there, because I know before I really can do the staining and all that, I definitely need to do a lot of cleanup in here. There's insulation and all kinds of junk just all over. So yeah. So plan for right now is I'm going to do that hand sanding all around the edges and the bolts that are currently visible. I'm just going to leave all this stuff, the solar stuff and the windows, all just where it is. I don't want to move that more than I have to, obviously, because these are fragile, so I don't want to be like stacking them or anything. So I'm going to do this whole side, going down this edge, all the bolts that are visible here, sand them, do that sweeping stuff, and then I'll stain obviously the edges around those bolts, and then also whatever I can stain along here, and then just let that dry. And then that's probably going to take quite a bit of time for this. Hand sanding is going to be kind of a pain, but the drying is probably going to take a while because, like I said, it is chilly this weekend. I'm like starting to shake just standing here. I need to get my heavier coat on. So yeah, so I'm gonna do that, and then I doubt it's gonna be dry enough for me to then move everything over, sand and stain the other half of it. But yeah, we'll see how far we get today. Alright, so the bolts are all pretty well sanded there. So now I'm going to go around this edge and then it'll be time to sweep. Alright, so it is decently sanded along there. There's a bunch of insulation that got stuck in there, so I got most of it out. There's still some. So I got the back door open here. I'm just going to sweep all this junk out of here. You can see I was using the what I'm going to be using the stain to try to sweep the stuff out from that crack. Like I said, I got most of it out, but you can see some of it still got junk in there. So I'm going to sweep out the bulk of it here, and then I'll go back around and try to get some more of that out. And that's going to be time to stain already. So it actually didn't take as long as I thought it would doing it by hand. It was already pretty level just to begin with. I didn't pump tons of it in there to like overdo it, which made it a lot easier here. If I had just, you know, overfilled it, one, I would have needed to get more of that wood filler stuff, and two, it would have been way more work trying to sand all that down here. So yeah, all in all, pretty quick process for this half anyway. So yeah, then sweep it and then do some more sweeping in that crack right along the edge here, and then sweep it again, and then I think it'll be time to break out the stain. Alright, so it is all swept out and it is looking really nice already. I mean, obviously got some staining work to do. So yeah, so it's looking great. Only thing is, this wood filler stuff definitely isn't meant for stuff that moves around a lot. I don't know how good this is going to hold up in the long run, but you can see, because I've been driving around, this stuff here that was in the crack is just popping on out. But whatever. I mean, it's still, overall, all the stuff that's in there should definitely stay in there, and more just the stuff on top is what's cracking and coming loose and stuff. So I mean, if there's a tiny little gap here like that, I'm not worried about it. I'm more worried about like gaping holes that lead directly to the bottom of the van, and where, you know, if I spill something, it's gonna go down there and just rust or something. So yeah, just something, if you're doing this, keep in mind there's probably a better thing to use than what I use, I'm sure, for these type of purposes. But this is what I could find that could be stained and kind of blend in with the rest of the wood. So that's what I went with. But after I stain and then eventually seal this, maybe that'll help it kind of be a little bit more, you know, hold in place a little bit better. I don't know. I'm not a professional, obviously. If you've been watching these videos, you know that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna real quick actually just sand that. I didn't notice that on the metal there, and I think you know, do that last sweep then after I do that, and then it'll be time to get that stain out here. Alright, so this is looking like as good as it's gonna get, I guess. Sanded that a little bit on the metal there, some other spots, sweeped it all out, tried to get as much of that insulation and dirt and whatever else was stuck in the cracks out. So I think it is about as ready as it's going to be for staining, so I am going to go grab that, and then I think I will stain going along the wall here first, just because that's, you know, up against the wall, and then basically work my way out. So do the bolts since they're, you know, close to the edge, and then finish by doing, you know, these middle cracks as far down as I can with this stuff being in the way. Alright, so time to go grab it. Okay, so here we are. I got the little paintbrush to stain all set up. I don't know how much I talked about my plans before in other videos, but I was originally thinking about just restaining the whole thing. But this stain looks really nice, and I don't really want it to be any darker for any reason. And it would just be more work, more time to dry, all that. So I am now obviously looking to only stain what actually needs to be restained, and then seeing how it comes out. So staining, you know, along those edges, all the spots where I sanded and messed it all up. And yeah, so if it ends up looking all uneven and weird, I'll either have it being uneven and weird, or I'll end up redoing the whole thing again. But yeah, I don't want it to end up coming out super dark, and I don't want to just waste all that, you know, stain and time for drying and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just doing kind of the bare necessities and seeing what happens. Okay, so just started here and had to stop right inside and grab a towel because I had gotten it all over this wall here. You can still kind of see some of the residue, but it's a lot better than it was before. So I'm going to continue on and probably have to stain wipe over and over as I keep going here. Alright, so I don't know if it just needs time to dry or if it requires more than one coat. But so far, I mean, I don't know how well this looks on the camera with this kind of lighting, but anyway, with the lighting I'm looking at, it doesn't really match the wood at all. I mean, it's the same stain, but it just does not look like wood. I mean, I've specifically used this type of stuff because it's always wood filler. You can stain it and it'll kind of, you know, it's supposed to basically blend all in, but I don't know, this doesn't look, I mean, that's clearly nice stained wood, and that just looks like a pile of crap that's stuffed in the corner. I don't know. So I'm hoping as I go around, maybe as it dries up a little bit, I'll put like another coat on there. So I don't want it to be darker though. I just want it to actually look like wood. So I'm not sure exactly what else I'm supposed to do. I'm just spreading it on there like I spread it on the wood. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep going here, and hopefully it starts to look better. I don't know. I'm not really worried about this stuff specifically because it's basically all gonna be covered up with stuff anyway. But I am a little bit worried about not so much the bolt areas because that's really tiny and not very noticeable, but the big lines going across the middle of the floor. I don't want those lines to look like that because that looks terrible. I mean, just having the gaps in the floor probably look better than that. I mean, that's just ugly looking. So I'm gonna keep going and just see what ends up happening. I'm glad that I started with the stuff in the corner because at least that gives me an area to kind of test it out and see what works and what doesn't, I guess, on an area that's not going to be super visible, and then we'll have to take it from there. Okay, so this I got done all the way up to going over here, maybe halfway around that wheel well there. So I can't tell if I'm getting more used to it or if it's looking less terrible as it dries. It's still definitely, I feel like it doesn't look like wood. Like you can see there's a clear cutoff between when it's wood and then when it's suddenly something that's not wood that's disguised as wood. But overall, I mean, it's kind of somewhat blending in there. So yeah, I'm just not sure how it's gonna look as it dries because I'm trying to kind of spread this out a little bit for areas that got sanded on the wood as I was trying to sand the other stuff, and it has these dark, you know, spots. So I'm not sure as that dries if it's gonna lighten up and blend with this or if it's gonna end up being this weird dark spot on there. So yeah, we'll just have to see what happens there. I don't know. Like I said, I'm leaving this spot untouched for now. That's a big old glob of mud there that I'm gonna have to deal with before I do that area. Everything is like still frozen outside because it's cold, but there is some mud that is mud instead of frozen mud, and it's now in here. So yeah, so just gonna keep going around this line, and then I'll come back and get these couple bolts that I need to fill in, and then I guess I'll do another clean up carefully, I guess, around the bolts and everything. But yeah, I'll have to clean up some of this junk and then stain these spots. Okay, so that whole line going along there is done, and then all the bolts on this side that needed to be done are done. Like I said, you can definitely see dark spots around everything right now. I don't know if those are gonna lighten up as they dry or if that's how they're gonna dry. I tried to spread it out as best I could with that little brush. But yeah, that's how it's looking right now. So I don't know. The only stuff that's really going to be visible is that area down there, really. So I'm not super worried about it. But now it is time to clean up all the mud that I accidentally got all over in here. And then I will do that and that. Alright, so I'm working on this stain here, and I'm not sure what's going on with this, but for some reason this side is way lighter than that side, and I keep trying to like even it out, and I don't know, it just keeps staying. Like, you can see this is the wood on this side, it's pretty dark. Then here's the wood putty stuff that's sitting on it, and then here's this, like a totally different color. So I guess I'm just gonna keep adding more to it and see what happens. But yeah, you can see like going basically all the way along here, that area is lighter, and then it does start to get darker over here, but not here. I don't know why. Alright, so that's where I got it to. Still noticeably lighter on that spot. So I'm just gonna let it hang up for a bit while I work on that one. See if I let it kind of settle there for a couple minutes and add some more to it. But I tried just adding it, and it was like it was just water. Like it just was not doing anything. So I figured I'd let it just sit there for a bit, and maybe it'll dry a tiny bit, and then add some more on top of what's dried. See if that works. I mean, if this is how it ends up turning out, I think it still looks nice and, you know, cool and everything, and it it's by no means terrible or anything. So, but if I can get it to be more even, I definitely would prefer that. So I'm gonna head over there and see if that one ends up having a strange light stripe or anything. Alright, so this side, I feel like it's looking better than the other one. There's definitely still some unevenness with the stain. Like, I feel like this area is darker than that area, but then it kind of flip-flops here, and this is lighter than that area. But looking over here, I mean, this looks like a crack in the floor, but really, the crack is not where that light spot is. It's actually before it. So yeah, I'm going to add some more to it and see if that does anything for it. And then basically just kind of let this sit and dry for, I don't know, a while. Come back and maybe test it. I don't know if I'm going to really be able to do anything else with it today, as far as, you know, moving this stuff over or sanding the other side. Like I said, it is cold. I got that heater going. That's definitely helping that it's much more insulated in here now than it was before, but it's still cold out for sure. I feel like the stain, when I read it, it said it was supposed to be like 40 degrees, and it's not 40 degrees, but I'm still just doing it anyway, just to try to get at least half of this project done anyway, because it's going to be starting to warm up, and I want to be able to start getting onto windows and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so I'm just getting this out of the way. So I'm going to do that one more layer over here, see what happens, and then basically just get out of here and work on everything else I have to do for the day, all my cooking and all that kind of stuff. And then I'll come back and check on it and see what it looks like, see if it dried a bit more evenly, or if we got weird dark spots or whatever happens to it. Okay, so I think it's looking a little bit better now. I really coated it on there pretty heavy, and now it's looking a little bit more even there. This side's looking like that. I'm just hoping that it, you know, I don't have anything really to compare it to, because when I stained these originally, I just stained the whole board all at the same time, and then it all just dried at the same time. So I don't know how these weird dark spots are going to end up looking. Like I said, I tried to spread it out as much as I could to kind of thin it out, so hopefully it will blend, but I don't know if it's going to dry looking exactly like that and have these weird circle blobs on the floor, or, you know, if as it dries it'll kind of lighten up and end up looking the same as everything around it. It's just a matter of just waiting now. So I'm gonna seal this up, and yeah, that basically it's just sealed up, and then I'm kind of done out here for right now until I come back and check it out in a little while. Okay, so just giving a little update here. It is Sunday night. So that stuff has been drying there all day, the stain, and I didn't really touch it to see how dry it was or not, but I was checking out, and it definitely looks like it's still dark, hasn't lightened up at all. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna leave it for tonight. I don't, just in case it is still wet or anything like that. And then I think I'll end up at some point this week, since it's such a quick project, doing that sanding and staining. I'll do that sometime this week after work, on one day, and let it dry overnight, and then I'm gonna just wash it, just like clean the crap out of it, and see, because I think a lot of that lightness is just kind of like dirtiness, like it's like just, you know, a level of like dust and stuff. So I'm gonna kind of clean it more than just sweeping with the broom, like actually like clean it up, see what it looks like then, and then if it's like noticeably like, wow, those are some really big splotches all over the place from the dark stain, then I'll end up just staining the whole thing and then sealing it on the weekend. But if that cleanup ends up, you know, fixing the problem, then obviously I won't have to worry about that, and I'll just do the sealing then. Sealing it, not working on the sealing. So yeah, so I don't know how long this video is going to work out to be for. I think we're on week 6, because I didn't really do a whole lot directly van related. I did a lot of other stuff like organizing stuff and getting rid of stuff. So if it's super short, I might just end up including this in with like week 7, like do like a combo video, because it's like, what's the point of uploading like, I don't know, like a 5 or 10 minute video for this week compared to like the super long videos that are normally up. So yeah, that's the game plan. Alright guys, so it is Tuesday night. I just got back from work, and it actually, I don't know if it's still is warm, but it actually hit 60 today. So suddenly super warm weather. So I'm gonna get out there. Still got a little bit of light left in the day. Work on seeing how much sanding I can get done. I gotta figure out exactly where I'm gonna move everything and arrange it, to be able to get to that other side. I can move everything over all at once to sand it, but then I think in order to stain those lines going across the van, I think I might end up needing to do those like separately, just because I don't think I can actually get, you know, halfway on one, halfway on the other. Like when I did the stain on the first section there, I think I didn't actually go full halfway because that stuff was taking up too much room. So yeah, so I'm gonna work on sanding, and then whatever staining I can get in there, and then that way can dry overnight, and see how far we get with that. See if I can get all that staining done, or if I'm only gonna get part of it. But yeah, so I gotta get changed out of my work clothes so I don't get stain and all that all over, and then I'm gonna get out there. Alright, so I just realized that instead of taking a video for the past couple minutes explaining everything, I took a picture. So basically, tons of snow melted, and now there's tons of mud. You can see the stain job there. Not super noticeable, you know, that those darker patches, you know, in some spots it is more than others, but nothing crazy. Like I can definitely notice it because I did it, staring right at it, but nothing crazy. So the game plan is I'm going to take all this stuff, shift it over to this side, sand everything down over there, and then over here you can see how far that stain got and how far it has to go. So I don't think that I'm going to be able to stain everything if I have it shifted over here. I think I'm going to be able to stain some, and then there's going to be patch in the middle here and there that is still unstained. So once I'm done sanding, I'm going to take everything, put it towards the back, and then stain all this area. And then once that's dry, you know, tomorrow night or whenever, shift everything towards the front and then stain the back. So that's the game plan. Okay, so everything's shifted over to here. I have the solar panel standing up this way right now, because that side I can definitely get done and stained. This side was being covered up by the box here. So for tonight, while it's drying, I'll leave this up, and then I have to just remember in the morning before I start driving, put it back down, because I definitely don't want that tipping over and falling. So yeah, so I'm going to sand and then sweep and then stain just like I did the other side. Alright, so I just started. I'm already having trouble seeing because I mean there's some light in here between these lights and it's coming in from outside, but when I'm down there in front of it, my shadow just gets in the way, so I can't really see what I'm doing. So I am going to grab my little headlamp thing, which is hopefully still decently charged, and then I'm gonna keep on sanding. Alright, so got it all sanded down. Pretty easy on this side, and now it's time to clean it up, do some sweeping, and then once it's all cleaned up, I'll double check the sanding, make sure it looks good. I'm also going to go around and tighten up the bolts. I noticed on the other side there was like one or two that was a little bit loose, nothing crazy, but I tightened up before I did all the staining. So I'll check this side as well just to make sure. And yeah, so gonna clean it, check the sanding, check the bolts, and then it's gonna be time for staining. Alright, so just did some sweeping. Probably have to go back over it again, but I just noticed this. I remember seeing this a while back when I was standing in here. So I am going to actually just sand over that to get rid of that glob, and then I'll just apply a tiny bit if I need to, then to even it back out. Yeah, notice there's all kinds of weird little marks. I don't know if this is like water or glue that dripped on it. It doesn't really feel like anything. Like, I don't feel anything there, so I'm not sure what that is. But I definitely see all kinds of weird marks and stuff all over, and the lights just turned out in the van. Good thing I have my headlamp. So yeah, so as you can see, it gets real dark in here. It's just about completely dark outside. So I am gonna sand that along with checking all the other spots, do another sweep through, and then I gotta go inside and grab the stain and come back out. Alright, so I just went around and tightened these up. Actually, a lot of them I tightened up quite a bit. I'm not sure if on the other side I just wasn't using as much strength, or if these for some reason were looser than the other ones. But yeah, some of them, especially like these two right here, had quite a bit of turns I gave them. So yeah, that glob is still kind of there. I think the sandpaper that I'm using, I just grabbed the one off the top of the box. It was like a whole big variety pack, and doesn't seem like it's very strong enough to deal with that putty stuff, but it didn't do a heck of a lot there. It definitely smooths it out so it doesn't feel like a glob, but that's just me covered up with either a fridge or sink or whatever, so I'm not gonna worry about it, because it's just gonna be more work. If I completely sand it off, then I gotta stain it again, or I can just leave it how it is and cover it up. So I'm gonna grab that stain, get out here before it gets any darker, and yeah, just do the same thing I did last time. I'm gonna go around the edge, then do the bolts, probably starting from this end, going that way towards the door, and then I'll do this line and that line, and then it'll be time to just let it sit overnight and let it dry. Okay, so did a final sweep through, and I got the stain and stuff. Something I just noticed while doing that sweep though, I think tightening these two, like I said, these ones really took quite a few turns to get tightened down there. And now looks like it has created a gap there. So I'm still just gonna stain it right now, and then if I really feel like it, after everything's stained and the seal goes on it, I might go around with like a silicone kind of thing, something like that, and just do all the edges again with that, just because this stuff, as the vehicle's moving, a lot of it's just cracking anyway. So yeah, I'm not super worried about it right now. Just gonna stain it, pretend it's not there, and then deal with it at some other point. So I'm gonna get that stain open. Like I said, I'm doing the edge, doing the bolts, and then doing the middle parts, and then that's gonna be it for that. It's gonna be time to just let it dry and check it out tomorrow. Okay, so basically doing the same thing I did last time. As you can see, it's like pitch black out now, but it shouldn't be too much longer. Just going along the side here and just wiping along with the towel if it gets too high. One thing though, this side definitely had smaller gaps than the other side, so some of that putty stuff or whatever did kind of go up onto it, so I am allowing it to be on the wall a little bit, just because basically the choice is either have it be the wood putty stuff or the stained wood putty stuff on the wall, because that's just how it is. So I figure might as well stain it. It'll, you know, blend in, whatever. So I got that chunk done, and now I'm just gonna keep on going down the line there. Okay, so I decided to do these while I have all the stain stuff down here. Just do the bolts on this area before moving on. I keep making shadows, so I'll try not to do that. So they were real dark around there, especially some of the spots, like trying to fill in this area here where there's a, man, how am I gonna do this? Yeah, so right there, took forever to get the stain down into that hole. If I had noticed this before, I would have sanded down some of these things that are hanging out there, but I didn't really see it that well. So yeah, it's just gonna keep blocking it, so whatever. So what I did this time though was I wiped it off lightly after I stained it, which actually I think is in the instructions for the stain. And so there's definitely, you know, noticeable spots around it, but I think it's going to be a little bit lighter than what happened on the other side. For example, like you can see how dark it is there compared to, you know, like right there, that area that I stained, or I mean, you can't really see it because there's just shadows and everything. So yeah, so that's what I'm going with right now. Just gonna keep making my way on down the line here, doing the bolts and the crack, and then trying to get out of here before it gets any later. Alright, so probably hard to tell, but the line going across and all the bolts are done there. So I'm gonna do this strip and then this strip, and like I said, gonna get out here and just let it dry. Alright, so first line there is done. It's really hard to tell because it's dark, and it's even harder to tell with this camera. But I think it's pretty even, but it does look like this side is lighter than that side. I don't know why that keeps happening every time I do this. Yeah, so I'm gonna turn it on around now and do this one, and then we'll be done staining here. Alright, so I am on the last bit here, and I finally think I solved this. Channel is gonna drive me crazy. I think I solved the coloration mystery. So when I was doing this, obviously there were those angles where, you know, one side was higher and one side was lower. So the side that's higher was sanded more, so it's lighter. And the side that's lower has that putty stuff, which for whatever reason kind of ends up being a little bit darker. So I think that's what basically is happening here. I don't think it's uneven staining. I think it's just the way it was sanded, and this is just how it looks when it's stained. So obviously I could, you know, go over the lighter side again with more stain once it's done drying. But that I think finally solved why it's like that. And it took me all the way until, you know, this bit almost done, and I finally solved it. Alright, so that is it for the night. Got everything all packed up. Gonna go put this stuff away, and just gonna close the doors and let it dry on out. Okay, so it is now Wednesday morning. It is cold out here now. You can see there's a little bit of frost on the windshield still. Everything's kind of frozen up, and then it's supposed to warm up again today, so all that frozen mud will turn back into wet mud. But this is what we're looking like. I think it looks pretty much the same as how the other side turned out, where, you know, it's definitely darker. I think that wiping did help for some of those spots though. Definitely still noticeable, but not crazy. So I'm just gonna lay down the solar panels so I can drive today without those breaking. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it as far as today. And then sometime this week, I'm hoping to get the sealant stuff on here. If it doesn't work out with my schedule, then I will probably do it on Saturday night. So that way Saturday I can work on everything else in the van, you know, like windows or whatever I'm going to be doing, and not have to worry about, you know, stepping on wet sealant, you know, and then just right before I'm done for the day, do the sealant and let it sit all night. But anyway, it is freezing out here, so I am going to get this done and get inside. Alright, it is Friday night. Out here, just showing you how everything looks after drying for a couple days. I forget what night it even was that I did this, the stain. What I'm doing out here right now is doing a little bit of prep for the windows that I'm going to be working on tomorrow. So I need to figure out the exact height of the bench seats I'm gonna have back here, as far as like the seat and then the back, and then from there calculate how big I can make the cabinets up here, so that way I can figure out exactly where that window's gonna go in over here, and it's just gonna be an exact copy over there. So yeah, so I am going to basically use measuring tape and duct tape. I'm going to basically mimic sitting down and mark where the seat would be, and then measure up from there as far as how far up, like the backrest is going to be, and how far up, my head will be when I'm sitting down, and then be able to calculate how much headroom do I want, and therefore how low can the cabinets go. And then from there I'd be able to figure out exactly where in here that window is going to be put in, whether it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be in this low spot, because that seems too low. I think it's going to be up in this higher area. So yeah, so I'm going to do some weird measuring with duct tape, and I'll show you what I come up with. Okay, so first little mark I made is I basically just did like a wall sit, and I just wanted to be at a spot where my legs would go like out and then down, and not be so high that my legs are like angled down or going up and down like that. So yeah, so I did that, and that's what I came up with there. Seems pretty low, but that's where the mark was, so I'll double check it. And then from there I am going to just do some measurements, see where my head is from that position, add a little space above that, put some more tape, and then I'll be able to see, like I said, how big the cabinets will be, where that window is going to go. Okay, so what I did was, first I got back into that position and stuck some duct tape above my head, and it happened to just land right in that insulation there. Which seems kind of surprising, because I feel like cabinets and vans normally go lower than that, but I mean, using this, the cabinets would have to be, at least, this is where the top of my head was, so you think it would have to be like at least like up here, if not even higher. But yeah, so that's that. And then the back of the couch thing, whatever, bench seat, is gonna be somewhere around 23 inches to fit into the middle of these to form it into one big bed. So I just measured up from here, and it ended up being like right about here. So I'm definitely going to use this top part here, because one, that means that the seat back won't be blocking it if it were down here, and based on where my head is, I also don't have to worry about the cabinets coming down too low and blocking it, because if the cabinets came down that low, I wouldn't be able to sit in the seat without smacking my head off of it. So, alright, so that answers that. Yeah, not much else to do tonight. It's obviously already dark out, so I'm not going to start cutting holes or anything. But tomorrow I'm going to come out here. It's going to be a lot colder tomorrow, but it is going to be above 40. It's going to be 40 something. So warm enough to, seal things and all that, but definitely not. We've had like 60, even hit 70 briefly over the past week. And now, unfortunately, on the weekend when I'm going to be working outside, it's not going to be that nice. But yeah, so I am going to be cutting, I don't know the exact size, but judging by, that's not it, that's the solar panels, but boxes under there, I think they're a lot bigger than just this little shape here. But I saw videos online, and this stuff can also just be cut through just as easy as the other metal, so I'll just trace it out, kind of ignore the weird spots, and just cut right around it. So yeah, not much, just like I said, nothing else really going on tonight. Right now my plan is probably Sunday night I'll work on sealing this, just because that way I won't be doing any more work on it. It can just dry all night, and even if it's not dry in the morning before I have to leave for work, whatever I already have out of here, which will be everything, I'll just leave out of here again, and I can just put it back in, Monday after work or something. So I'm gonna get inside, do whatever I gotta do, and then tomorrow morning is gonna be probably, well, definitely the scariest job so far. Cutting 2 giant holes into the side of the van. Alright guys, it is Saturday morning. Hopefully it's not too dark in here so you can't even see me, but I'll show you outside. No frost on the windshield or anything, but I just checked the temperature. It is 28, and with the wind it feels like 19. So those are the conditions you usually want when installing windows. Cold and windy, right? So it is going to warm up a bit throughout the day. Like I said, it's going to get up into the 40s. And I only need that warm period for the actual sealant part. So I'm going to go get my shower, and then I will work on, making the outline for the window and getting the metal cut, because that doesn't really matter temperature-wise, other than I'm just going to be uncomfortable and cold. But then hopefully then by the time I get done doing that, it will be warm enough to actually use that sealant. Depending on how long it takes, I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. If I want to just cut both holes and then put both windows in, that way they have kind of like an equal amount of time to seal while it's still somewhat warm. Or if I would rather just do one at a time, in case I end up screwing something up, it's only screwed up on one side, or it's not supposed to rain, but should it happen to start raining, I can at least get one in there and not have to worry about the other or anything. But yeah, so that's the game plan. We'll see how far I can get before we actually get those warm temperatures, and then take it from there. Alright, so I just took this out of the packaging. This is what that kit was that I ended up ordering for the sealing the windows in. This is the little primer. It's got some little brushes, I guess, to spread the primer. The tip to put on the sealant stuff. The description for it just said that this is good for, I guess, 2 small windows or 1 big window, and I was like, I don't know if they consider my windows big or small. They didn't list any actual measurements, so I just bought this, hoping this will be enough. It should be, because from what I'm seeing, you're only supposed to use a tiny little bead going around it, because this stuff, I guess, is a mess to clean up. So if you end up putting too much on and it all smushes out, it's going to be just, this stuff comes out black. So it will just look terrible and be a huge pain to clean. From what people are saying, most people recommend using, I don't know what the correct term is, but like an electric caulk gun kind of a thing, like an automatic thing. I looked up those, and the first one I saw on Lowe's was $200, and I was like, well, I'm not going to spend $200 on a caulk gun that I only really need to use for one window and another window, and I don't really need ever again, because everything else that I'm going to be sealing is just using regular sealant that works with a normal caulk gun. So what somebody else I saw, actually, who I originally saw these windows from in the first place, he had a Nissan. I don't know if it was the same kind of Nissan I had, or if it was a smaller model, but he was using the same exact stuff here, this black stuff, and I think he was using pretty much the same windows, and he was having a heck of a time trying to get this stuff out of here, and he ended up just heating it up, so it was more, liquidy, and was able to get it out then. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not sure how he heated it up. I'm gonna see if I can find that video. He definitely didn't show it in the video, because I don't see this being safe to just stick in a microwave, from the looks of this stuff. But right now it was sitting out in the van all night. It's been sitting out there all week, really, but especially from last night, it's real cold in my hand. So probably just gonna stick it like in front of the heater, and I have, I'm sure, plenty of time before I'm going to actually be using this stuff. I'm going to get myself a quick shake here for breakfast, and then it's going to be time to get all bundled up and head out there to get to work. Alright, so here we are. I just realized this heater's like totally blocked here, so I'm going to move that before anything terrible happens. So I got my heater going, all bundled up. I got those crappy scissors, knife, pen, marker, And here we got the window. So I'm gonna get this open. Hope that there's no cracks or anything broken, because if there is, suddenly this project is going to be done for the day. I'm going to be working on trying to figure out how to get new windows. So yeah, gonna get this open and then we'll take a look. Okay, so working on getting it out here. Can't even see them yet, but this is how they are packaged up. It's got these big, it's hard to see in here because the lights went out, but these thick black styrofoam pieces here. Seems like we got a window probably on top here, and then maybe another one that's down here. But they have it packed. Instead of using like a bunch of tape, they use these, they're kind of like giant staples. I don't know what the correct term is for them. So if you guys ever order windows from this company, I think it's Van Windows Direct, just be really careful getting it out, because I just stabbed that crap out of my finger because I was trying to, reach under here and slide it out, and as I was sliding, I ended up getting caught on one of these things. So definitely watch out for that. Had I really thought about this more ahead of time and realized how giant these staple things were, would have had this flipped over the other way, so that way the staples were on top, and then when I'm reaching underneath, they would be not stabbing me. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for those things if you ever have a box like this. Alright, so these are out of the box now. Yeah, I don't know why they went with that design instead of just tape, because even once I got my hands out of the way, then as I'm trying to slide this out, this is getting, the whole, whether it's the plastic, the cardboard, the styrofoam, gets stuck on these stupid staple things. So in my opinion, that's just a terrible design choice. I think tape would have worked just fine holding it closed, like it holds every other box closed. So anyway, it's so cold. I am going to get this open here carefully and then take a look at these windows and make sure that they are all good to go. Alright, so here is window number one. Gonna get it out of this plastic wrap here to really take a good look at it and see that everything's okay with it, but so far it looks fine. They had it really well packaged, I will say that, aside from those stupid ass staples. But so they had that plastic wrap that was holding down those two pieces of cardboard, and then they had more plastic that was holding down bubble wrap, and then it was, once you got off that, then you had this foam stuff here that was holding it in. It's got notches in here, so it's not just place in between it all and hoping, since it actually like slides into place and locks it in there between all the pieces going around all the sides. Yeah, so really well packaged besides those terrible things that will stab you. Okay, so got the first one fully out now. Also has a screen. The screen was in a separate thing but attached to the front of that bag. So when I was pulling out the window, I chucked the bag thinking it was empty, just trying to get bag off the rest of the window, and then heard that hit the ground. Luckily there's no glass or anything, it's just a screen, so seems to be totally fine. And this is the window, so this is like the inside of the window. I checked the other side, everything looks fine, but just to show you guys what it does. So this, it actually will lock shut. It's a little bit rough to push right now. I don't know if it's just because it's brand new or if that's just how it works, but so there it locks, and then you can, tough because it's one-handed because the whole thing wants to move, but you can just slide it on down and have this whole area open, and you can have that screen in there. Yeah, so this one is, which one does this go on to? This one is going to go onto the driver's side, and then the other one's going to be going over there on the passenger side. So I'm going to get the other one opened up here as well, and then that way when I am doing my template, I can just double check and see if it will match up exactly on both of them, if they're basically copies of the hole that I'll need to cut out, and then that way I can just have that one template, use it, trace it on there, then go do the same thing on the other side. But yeah, I have to figure out exactly where I'm supposed to be tracing this along with. I haven't found any type of instructions with it, so all I have to go on is what's on that website, which was not super descriptive, as I kind of explained either earlier in this video or in the last video, whenever it was, because I don't see any specific, like I'm trying to think, like it's to go along here, but then you have this thing coming out here. Do you have to cut all the way along, like, you know, the bottom here? But then where's it gonna, you know, stick to? It has to have a spot to, you know, stick on the van itself. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna look for instructions, and if I can't find anything, I'll look online again, see what they say. And I mean, the description last time was not very good, so if I can't find anything, I'll just have to email them again and hope they get back to me soon, because I want to get going on this, but there's no clear indication as to where you're supposed to cut. I was thinking it would be like, you know, along something like this, you know, cut it, and then this gets placed in there, and then you can put all your sealant along here. But then what about this whole area over here? There's nothing there, and then there's this stuff sticking out, which wouldn't make sense for trying to put up against the van. I have no idea. Okay, so I just cleared off all the stuff from the other window off of this one, and I mean, there's clearly no instructions either, you know, in between where the two windows were, or if you're just looking through there. I don't see any manual or anything. In the box, all that's left is just some bubble wrap in the bottom there. Let me just grab it. So I'm going back inside, pulling up that website and seeing what they say, if they have any real instructions, because it's, to me, there's nothing obvious on here at all as far as where you're supposed to be making a template out of this thing that's supposed to be cut. If this went all the way around and these things weren't here, I would think it'd be pretty obvious, like, okay, you're supposed to cut around this, so that's, you know, fits into the hole that you cut, and then you put your sealant going around here, boom, done. But it's really made like a mark there. Weird. But yeah, I have no idea. So, I mean, if you cut a hole going around here for that fit in, you're gonna, with a big gap here, because there's nothing there. If you cut, like, going straight across, part of the window is covered up by the van wall, then I have no idea. So, yeah, I mean, I can't even guess where you're supposed to be cutting along this thing, especially with these weird things sticking out the bottom here. I mean, this goes, you know, let me shake this. It goes all the way up to this level, and then goes down, and then even it's unlevel with that. I don't know why they would do that, because then I don't know how you would even get this flush with the van. It's always going to be, you know, sticking out at those spots along the bottom edge. I don't know if they're doing that on purpose to make the top edge tighter so water doesn't leak down into it. Yeah, I have no idea. So I'm going to try to figure this out. If I can't find it in the instructions, I'm going to email them and be like, what is going on with these windows? Nothing about this is logical at all, and see what they say. Okay, so just to show you guys here, it says you need to create a template to cut your window hole. Easiest way is to use the cardboard box that easiest way is to use the cardboard box it came, use a square and make a rectangle. Whatever the hell that means. Once you have your rectangle created, line up your rectangle on the inner framing of the bunk window. Whoever wrote this, I don't know if this is a company where English is not the first language, but you just got run-on sentences, words that don't make any sense. You know, it just goes from framing on the bunk window, you should now be hand draw your corners. Why do you need to hand draw the corners? What corners even? I don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're saying you could use a protractor. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be tracing in the first place. This is double check to ensure you have everything correct. Double check what? Like, I don't know how to make the template, what I'm supposed to be making the template out of. You know, like what am I templating? It just says the inner framing. Well, I got part of an inner frame, and then it's missing the one side, and then it's got two freaking triangles sticking out the bottom of it. So yeah, these people are getting an email. I don't think they have a phone number on here. So I'm definitely, yeah, they don't have any, I don't think they have any way to call them. So I'm going to be emailing them, and hopefully I get a speedy response, because nothing here makes sense. Yeah, it just says this is just a recommended stuff to buy to install it. There's no real instructions to it. And this, they don't even show you the backside about how the back makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. So I am, needless to say, pretty pissed off to start the day, because the window just makes no goddamn sense. Yeah. So, alright, here we go. Okay, so looking at the last email I got from them, I emailed them Friday. Or actually, no, that wasn't the last one. But anyway, I emailed them sometime on the weekend and didn't get a response until Monday. So I don't have high hopes of being answered today. On their website, it says that they do have a phone number there, but only Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, which is not helpful to me at all, because I'm never going to be able to reach them because I'm going to be at work during those times. So I tried looking up the video. This is the one that I found, where that guy, like I said, explained heating up that sealant stuff and getting it on there. It's for a different version of that. It's the smaller one, NV200. Unfortunately, he's only really shows the install of these back ones. He doesn't show anything about his side ones, which he does have taped off at some point. You can see it on here, and I'm not sure where. And I don't know if they're the exact one. I don't know if they really open and close and stuff. Let me see. Yeah, that looks like just a solid one. But it doesn't really show that process. He only really shows the back ones. So I don't know. I don't know where to go from here. I might just go see if somebody has a ladder and just say fuck it and start working on like the solar or the fan or something, because I don't know what to do with these windows. The whole back of it, the whole framing makes no sense whatsoever with those notches, that are coming out the bottom. The one side doesn't have the framing, so I'm not sure how that works. I mean, the framing part, that one piece, you can work with whatever, just estimate where you're supposed to cut or something. But the notches, it's like, how are you going to get that to ever be flat, flush up against the van? You're going to have massive gaps because you have that in there. So are you supposed to cut around those for some reason? It makes no sense. So yeah, I'm going to wait to hear for their response. I'm not going to just sit here and wait around for it. Maybe I'll keep looking up videos and see if I can find anything else. There's not too many videos about installing windows into Nissan NVs, but I'll just keep looking up, see if people have websites where they have those exact windows. Maybe I'll find something helpful. And if I can't find anything and they're not going to respond to me, I'll move on. And then ultimately, if they aren't going to work with me and give me real instructions on how to use their product, I will try to figure out how to get a refund and get different windows from people that actually provide instructions with their windows. It was pretty unbelievable when I pulled out windows and there was no instructions whatsoever. All I had to go on was those like two paragraphs or whatever that are on here. No, that's the description. And then it just says make a template out of what, like how. What am I tracing? It's pretty terrible. They don't even show you anywhere on here the back of it, so you can see. I think they show it here. Oh, got something on here. Okay, so here they do have one of the back. He's got some weird shit going on with their van, but so that's the notch. But I don't get what's happening there. You would think that there would end up being this big gap there then, because even though it's not on the that triangular part itself. Where is it? There. That really bulges out. This part still sticks out further than this part. So you would think that you would end up with a gap. And then let me see this again. I'm trying to see the actual framing here, but it looks, let's see where. So it seems like they just kind of trace randomly. Like it doesn't go along with the frame itself. Let me see if I can make my screen brighter, because I can kind of see it here, but the camera's not doing the best job of picking up. So you can kind of see, where's my finger? There it is. Here's like the frame, and then here's just a gap. So I don't know how you're supposed to decide how big you're supposed to be making this thing. You know, same thing on this side. Like I said, that frame just ends, and then they just left that much room. How did they decide how much room to leave there? Down here, frame is all the way up there. Then you have these weird, you know, pyramid things sticking out, and they just, for some reason, that's the spot that they did it. So I don't know. The top one seems like it actually goes along with some kind of framing somewhat for part of it. But it seems like they might even have it cut like at an angle. Like here I feel like it's closer to the frame, and then there it seems to get like a little bit further. So I don't know what they're actually tracing. If they're just like, do whatever you think looks nice. And even with that, like, how does that stuff work? Are you supposed to put some kind of notch in the van for the bottom things to make sure that you don't have, you know, big gaps going along the bottom? Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know what you're supposed to be tracing for the template. I don't know how you're supposed to be dealing with these bottom things. Yeah, just nothing makes sense about this whatsoever. So I'm going to keep researching it, see if I can find anything else that would explain actually what you're supposed to be tracing, how big this template's supposed to be, how you're supposed to handle these weird things at the bottom, like what their purpose is. And I mean, you would think if these served any purpose whatsoever, they should be kind of like resting along the bottom lip here, because like they stick out like that, but they're not in this picture. They're up there, and then here's just that, you know, part that continues straight down then. So it's not, doesn't seem like it's part of like a support or anything for it. Yeah, I don't know. It just makes no sense. I kind of wish I would have opened these up sooner to realize that there's no instructions in here whatsoever, and you're just gonna have to figure it out on your own. So I would, at this point, not recommend this company whatsoever, because this is just awful. No instructions in the box. The instructions on the website are just vague at best. Not using proper English whatsoever. Just run-on sentences that don't make any sense. Even when there are pictures, they're not really helpful, because it says template around the framing, and this doesn't look like they templated around the framing. This looks like they templated way outside the framing. Yeah, I have no idea what the hell I'm supposed to be doing with these things. Just gonna do research, and I will update as I go. Okay, so I was doing some searching, and I actually ended up accidentally to their website. They have a video about window installation. I was like, oh great, this will actually be helpful. I'll show you it from the beginning even. So you just get this annoying music. It's all sped up. He's washing it, and then continue to be overly sped up, and now they're inside. Everything's already templated, and he's drilling and cutting. So not even remotely helpful for what I'm looking for. I mean, they're showing you all the little bits to cut over and over and over, but they don't show you a single thing about how to actually make a template for these weird ass windows. Alright, so I can't find any good resources at all um, about these specific types of windows. So I still haven't gotten a response, obviously. So I am at this point considering just tracing, just going around the framing here, and then just basically, I don't know why they didn't just frame out the rest of the window. It makes no sense, but just, you know, frame it out going around the window part there, so it's not blocking that edge of the window. Just imagine that there's framing there, basically. The only thing I'm hung up on is these things at the bottom. I don't get how you're supposed to make it be flat and everything flush when you have things purposely built into it that are making it not flat and flush. Because I don't really get the purpose of leaving these extra margins going around, the side, tops, bottoms, anything like that, because it's not actually like part of the window itself that you can look through, that you could open, close. It's just black, plexiglass that you can't actually see through or anything. So you might as well just block it all off, and you can use that space for whatever the hell else you want. You can insulate it better or whatever you want to do. So the only thing I'm hung up on is those things at the bottom. I don't get how those fit in with the rest of the window, how that helps in any way. It seems like it just creates issues. It's just going to make this big gap and end up causing moisture to get in and have leaks and things like that. I wish they would actually just respond to my email, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. I might just go out there and just look at it for a while, have it in person, be able to look at it and see how big it is, these hunks at the bottom, and just see if I feel like just saying fuck it and going for it, or if I'm just going to say, you know what, just put it to the side and work on something else today. Go grab a ladder and start cutting for, the solar or something like that, because, I would love to just get these in today, get them out of the way. They should be the easiest thing to install compared to everything else, because there's no electrical or anything like that. It's just put them in there and they're sealed and then they're good to go. Whereas, the solar, the fan, everything else, there's additional steps to it besides just cutting and sealing. And it would be great to get that, big ass box and now open box of windows, exposed and could potentially break, and I have no idea how I'm supposed to install these. So I doubt they're going to email me back anytime this weekend, like I said, because their hours say 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And I don't feel like just driving around all week, because I'm not going to be able to do it anytime during the week without, enough time during the day to be able to do it with sunlight and everything. So it's basically either do it today or figure out how to package everything back up securely so it doesn't end up breaking, and get it back in the box and then do it again next weekend. So needless to say, I'm pretty pissed off at this company right now for providing the worst instructions I've ever seen ever for any product I've ever bought at all, ever. I definitely will not be leaving a good review after this, because this has been a terrible experience so far. Like I said, their instructions in the box, non-existent. Their instructions on the website, very vague, using horrible version of English with run-on sentences and words that don't fit inside the sentence at all. So, yeah, I looked up, and I guess they're a California company or something, and I don't know. I thought that people out in California still spoke English and would know how to write instructions, but apparently not. So, would never, ever, ever in a million years recommend this company, because, like I said, their instructions are terrible, and I don't understand their product at all. You want a window to be flush and flat up against it so you don't end up getting moisture in there, and they purposely made things on the bottom that aren't flush and flat. So I feel like this whole video this week is just me pissed off, staring at a computer screen, yelling at the camera. So I'm going to go back outside and just see what I'm working with and decide if I want to say fuck it and go for it and just figure it out as I go, or if I'm gonna say go through all that work to repackage that back up in some way where it's not gonna end up breaking. Just not how I wanted to start today. I thought it was gonna be like, hey, just, the hardest thing was gonna be convincing myself to cut a hole in the van, but instead the hardest thing is figuring out what the hell they did to this thing. Okay, so here we are. I'll show you. So if we frame around these stupid ass things, we still have to deal with this. I was thinking maybe, am I supposed to do it along here? But no, because I know that they had that within the window, not attach the wall, because this is the same level as this. But even then, I mean, then the bottom would just be here and here attached, but you couldn't, unless you cut, some weird shape going around those stupid blocks. I really don't understand why they didn't include instructions with this. Like, not even like a diagram, nothing at all. I mean, those are the only things that are really holding them up. I'm fine with just pretending there's a frame here and just, templating around as if there is and just cutting that out. But I don't get how these things are supposed to work. It seems like it's just, like I said, just make a big gap. Oh my god. I'm just so over this right now. I'm just so pissed off. Oh my god. Like I said, I don't feel like packaging this back up. I just want to get this done today. So this whole box, everything is just out of the way. Windows are installed, so as it gets warm, I can like pop those open. I'll have additional light in here when it's light outside, to be able to work on shit in here. But I don't know what to do with this thing. I don't want to fuck this up and end up having some gap in here that's going to allow all this moisture in, and every time it rains I got fucking flood in here. Don't get it. I mean, like, if you look here, I mean, this is just flat. It's just a flat piece of metal, so I don't get how those things are supposed to go up against that and still have the whole thing be flush going around it. Man, I just don't know what to do with this. I really just want to cut it and get it in there, but I also really don't want to fuck this up. Like, I'm just imagining that there's going to be a gap that high just going around at least the whole, bottom portion. I mean, it seems like it's basic, I don't know, geometry or whatever the hell, whatever science or math you want to call it. Just seems like those are that high, they're sticking out. If you push this up against something, those are going to hit the thing you're pushing up against, and then anything that's lower than that is not going to be touching that. It just seems, and that sealant stuff is not, it seems like when people put it on there, it's pretty, thin layer. So I don't see it, being so thick that's going to fill up this gap here or something. I don't know, maybe I'll get somebody else's opinion on this before I cut it, but I'm gonna say, fuck it. These are going in today, and if it ends up having some big weird ass gap, I'll put fucking sealant in there, and I'm gonna leave the worst review for this company they have ever seen, because this is just ridiculous that they don't have instructions, and I still don't get how these benefit this in any way. These seem like they would only make it worse to install these windows. I'm gonna get out the other one and look at that one too. I guess I'll clear this crap off so I can lay it on the rest of the insulation here, and just so that way I can look at them side by side. And like I said, I want to be able to template them and see if the template just transfers right over. But I mean, even templating is going to be, oh my god, everything's just going to be a pain in the ass with these windows. I looked at their website, and their website is 30-day return policy, and I know it's been more than 30 days because I bought these when I first got the van, not knowing that I wouldn't be able to install them until like forever because of the weather. And it's been, whatever this is, week 6 or 7 or whatever it is, so I'm just stuck with these at this point. So they're going in. They're going in one way or another, because I'm not just taking a whatever, like $300 loss on these freaking windows. So I'm gonna get that one out, and we're just gonna take it from there. Okay, so here are the two windows side by side. So basically, they're like mirror images. So one will go passenger side, and the window that opens part will be towards the front. This one's going the other side, and the window will also be towards the front. Both have that same weird ass thing there, the lack of framing going around that part of the window. Yeah, so it doesn't seem to be like any type of error that the thing is down here like this, because they both have it. It looks exactly the same, so it doesn't seem to be some type of accident. So yeah, I am going to. I mean, I was thinking for a second, like, do they go at the top for some reason? But that wouldn't help at all anyway. But yeah, in the pictures they're at the bottom, and also the label here faces that way. So they definitely go at the bottom, those weird notches. I just don't know why or how that's supposed to work. I mean, clearly people have done this based on those pictures. I don't know what the end result was after they installed this, how well it ended up working out for them with this stupid ass thing. So yeah, I mean, there must be a way of doing it. So I'm gonna start making a template out of the cardboard that it came with. If those pieces of cardboard that we're holding in there are big enough, or if not, then I'll just cut up the box. And yeah, I mean, like I said, they're mirror images, so as long as I am making the template the same all the way around, then it should work fine. As long as I'm not like making this a straight edge here, and then when I did it on the other side, it ends up being messed up or anything. And then that way, having one template that I use on both sides, it'll be nice, because then you're not going to end up with one that's a little bit bigger than the other or anything like that. So yeah, I'm just going to template it and start cutting. It's getting warmer and warmer out there, so we're getting closer to the time of day where I'm supposed to be sealing. So might as well just get it going and just do it. Just see what the hell happens. Clearly, I mean, they're making these windows. They had reviews on there that said that it worked. I don't know how it works with these weird things, but we're gonna make it work, because I paid for these windows and I'm not allowed to return them now, so they're going in. Alright, so since there's so much stuff on these windows, like the framing, the weird notches, the locking mechanism there, I'm not sure exactly how to go about framing it, because if I put this on top, it's sticking up here, and I don't really know where to trace, obviously, because everything's under there. If I flip this over, the window is obviously larger than what I need to be tracing, so I can't really do it that way. So I don't know, I'm gonna mess with a couple different ideas. I might end up taping this down in some way, and then just kind of sticking a pen or a marker or something underneath and tracing this along the frame. Well, I can't go completely up against the frame because it's got these weird things. I could do, well, no, that sticks out a bit farther than that, I guess, right? Yeah, this weird thing comes out further than this thing. So I'm just gonna mess with a couple different ideas and figure out, somehow I'm gonna end up templating this. I mean, the nice thing is that this area is so big that, I mean, if you end up going too far outside the frame, you still got plenty of space here to seal to it. so it's not like it's a huge deal or anything. Especially on the side. I mean, look how much is over there. Tons of extra space over there. So yeah, so somehow I'm gonna figure this out as far as where I'm gonna template, how I'm even gonna template it. So yeah. Okay, so here's my latest idea. I don't know how it's gonna work at all, but I think I might end up trying this. This thing is gonna end up making this template process a pain in the ass because it is so much higher than anything else, than the frame or any other part of the window. So when I lay it down here, it looks kind of flat, but really it wobbles all over, and there's no way of knowing if the template I make is really accurate because everything's at like this weird angle that keeps shifting. So I'm thinking if I cut out a spot in the cardboard that this will fit into, one, it will kind of lock it in place somewhat, basically similar to taping it down, and two, then the cardboard can just go right down in there, and it can lay flat against the frame itself and not be wobbling all over because of that locking mechanism that's on there. That's the best idea I came up with so far. So I might just do that real quick, and then that way, obviously then I'll have to make two templates, I think. I mean, I guess I could just flip it over and put it on there. But yeah, I'll check it out. I'm gonna go with that. I have several other pieces of cardboard here, so if that doesn't work, don't want to waste too many on crazy ideas, but hopefully something will start working. Okay, so this is what we got. Just little by little cut away until it finally fit on there. You see all the little bits. Yeah, I just got it down enough to where it lies flat against everything. There is more to this locking mechanism, like the part that you push in is over here, but that's further down and set in, so this lays down nicely now. It's not doing as much wibble wobble. So yeah, so I am going to put a little bit of tape on this as well. Let's see if I have any like paint tape or something. I don't want to use like duct tape on it. Hopefully I have some. I hope so. I don't know. Just thinking right now, I'm not sure if we actually have any. So I am going to, figure out how to tape this down with something besides duct tape, because I don't know if it's a good idea. Although maybe it doesn't matter, because I'm probably going to be using duct tape to hold on there for however many hours it needs to be held up there. But it's just going to be more of a pain in the ass to get off when I'm ready to take the template off. And then once it's kind of taped and secured in place, I will trace something on it and then cut it out and then trace that template onto the van. Okay, so I am going to be using duct tape because I can't find anything else unless I just want to use like Scotch tape. But I am making sure to tape going to the front side. That way this area is kept cleaner for the sealant to eventually be put on there, and so it'll stick better, not having a bunch of duct tape residue and whatever else on there. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go around and just put some duct tape in a few spots and then figure out how I'm gonna trace something here to make a template. Like I said, it's gonna be a very awkward tracing process because if I have it in this position, I can't really see what the hell I'm tracing, and if I flip over, similar kind of situation. So it might be like a trial and error kind of thing. I might end up, partially tracing it, cutting it, and then seeing how it looks and tracing more. But we'll see how it goes. What a process. Okay, so you can see I only put a little bit of duct tape on there, one on each side. Just enough to keep it from shifting either direction, just because I know I'm going to be taking off there at least to then trace on the van. If not, take it off, put it back on, keep testing and see how it fits. I just moved that one over there just to get it out of the way, that window. So it's taped on there, and now I'm going to experiment with how to trace out a template for this. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at. I don't know how I'm going to trace anything like this. So what I'm thinking is any spots that I know are bigger than what I want it to be, like this corner that's hanging off here and stuff, I'm gonna cut that. And I don't know, I think I'm just gonna have to basically ballpark everything because I don't know how else to really trace this. Because if I'm looking up here and tracing, I don't have any reference. Whereas down here, I can see it, but then how do I trace along this then up to here? And like I said, if I flip this over, all this added material here ends up just blocking the ability to see anything. This overhang covers up almost the entire cardboard, besides the corners that poke out here. So it would be useless to flip it over and try to do it that way. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna just cut and see how it looks and go from there. Maybe once it's a little bit smaller, it'll be. I mean, even then, it's still gonna be a pain to trace because there's still just no way to trace in between this gap. No way to see anything from here. If I could get it to be completely flat down here, which I can't, because of the multi-stage framing that they have, where they have this high part and then this low part, and then also you have to deal with these things. But if you could get it to be flush against whatever you're trying to trace against, you could just stick a marker or a pen in there or whatever and just go around it. But here there's nothing to work with. So I'm just gonna, like I said, cut off some of the big chunks that are obviously need to be cut and just go from there. Okay, so I chopped off the corners on both sides here, and then I thought, well, I know that there's a gap here that needs to be cut. I'll just make a straight line going across by using this cardboard and trace that, and then just cut along there. And then I realized, looking at this cardboard, it doesn't look totally straight. It looks like there's some curves in that. So I guess I'm not going to trust that to make a straight line. I don't know what else I would have that would be that length, be kind of nice and straight. You could just take that tape measure, I guess, and just put it up against there and trace against that. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Managed to get a couple corners off so far. Okay, so this was my methodology. Took the tape measure, and I just made a line just the width of the tape on the tape measure, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. And just had it go along here, and just traced along it. Then, to test to see how far in that was compared to everything that's happening under here, I took a knife, put it in right along that line, and now I can actually kind of see, but mostly just feel safely, carefully. Not safely, carefully, I would say. So this goes. Let me try to hold it. I need 3 hands here. It goes just a bit past the base of that, what I'm going to call the pyramid of that thing. So I think that's good, because this is, that's all the same height, so I don't see any reason really to go any further down this way with it. I feel like that's a fine spot to just cut it. I'm also going to test it down here, just because the other piece of cardboard obviously wasn't in a straight line. I don't know if this one is, so it's all obviously a straight line on this pen mark that I made, but if this itself is not straight, then it's not going to be even. So I'm going to do the same test over there, stab it on through there, and see how it lines up. And as long as it is basically the same as this, then I will cut this whole strip right off here. Okay, so that one I did the same thing. I think it's kind of visible even just from here. Seems like the cardboard kind of angles going up that way a little bit. So like that, you can see more black there than you can see over here. So this one seems a little bit further down from that pyramid that's on there, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, I would rather have it, too far that way than the other way. So I'm gonna cut this, and then if as I'm going around, if I notice that difference is like a good difference, I'll end up adjusting it. And I don't know where there's this dot in the corner. I hope I'm not filming this all in slow motion. I'll find out later, I guess. But yeah, so I'm gonna just cut this line, and then I guess I'll just spin it around, do same kind of thing on the other side, and then I'm also gonna have to do the edges at some point, saving those for last because they're taped down, obviously, so I want to keep those in place as long as I can. Once the sides are done, it'll be easier to do those edges because then I won't have to worry about as much the moving around. That will hopefully hold it enough in place to be able to do that edge and that edge, and just kind of hold it in place as I'm tracing and cutting stuff. Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do: cut, then trace and cut, and then work on those sides. All right, so that is cut there. It definitely looks like there is a bit of an angle to it, so I might work on straightening that out, but for now I'm gonna go focus on the other side and getting that one cut. Okay, so I traced this one out, doing the same thing with the tape measure and poking through here. Only difference on this one, I am trying to not let it touch the this kind of glass surface, because on the other side was poking through and hitting that plasticky weird stuff. So yeah, so over here though, very hard to tell, but my finger back here is touching the edge of that lowest part of the framing kind of stuff, and so this goes pretty much right up to it. So seems like this method is working out pretty well. I'm gonna do the same thing somewhere over on that side as well, just to test out that. As long as it's good, I will do the same thing with cutting this slice off here, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so that is cut. I have to say, this stuff here is pretty strong. I tried to use the scissors to cut through this on the other side and realized that was not going to work out. I mean, just taking out the corners alone was really, really tough, and it was no way it was getting cut along this strip. So I was using a knife, and sometimes the knife would kind of get through and end up accidentally hitting it. But I don't see like any nicks or scratches or anything, so really happy about that. Alright, so the next step, I guess, is going to be the edges here and there. And then as long as I'm kind of happy with everything, I know that other side was looking a little bit uneven. Nothing major though. So if I want to adjust that, I might adjust that. I'll see how it's looking after I get the other sides chopped up here. And then I might end up then taking it and kind of just flipping it over and seeing how it fits on there. And if it, I don't know how well it's maybe, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So I'm going to cut those sides and then take it from there. Alright, so I was debating on which side to start with here. So this side, as you can see under there, is the edge where it just stops that framing. And the other side obviously is the one that has framing going all the way around it. So I'm going to do this one first, so that way it's still being somewhat held in place while I attempt to figure out what the hell I'm doing with this. And then that way, then that side will be the last one to do, where it's only really being held in place by just that lock thing there. And that one has framing going all around it, so I think it'll be a little bit easier to figure out what I'm doing there. Okay, so what I did here, it's very hard to see. You have to get it from certain angles. There, you can see it right there. It's not really in focus, but you can see where the actual like window itself is, and then where it ends. So what I did was I went all the way up to there, put the tape measure going, along that outer edge of the window, like the tape measure is just touching it, and then put my pen up here and marked where the tape measure then ended. So basically there's a tape measure length width tape measure width between where this line is, right? Finger's not working when I'm trying to look at the camera. This is where the tape measure is, and then the tape measure goes to, this far over, which is where the window actual starts, which you can't see from here. There it is. So that's what I went with, and now I'm going to take that tape measure and try to make somewhat of a straight line going across here. Don't know why this camera never is in focus. There we go. And then cut that out once I get that line on there. Alright, so I tried to use tape measure, and anytime this is hanging off the edge of anything, it just wants to, flip over, and so it's just being a pain. And I was like, you know what, because I'm going on this side of it instead of, going the other way, I just end up just tracing along the ridge that I was on, where you can see, the where it gets higher and lower on the cardboard, those little marks. So I just traced along there. Did the same thing, poked a hole in there, poked a hole down there, and there's not anything really specific to go on this side because there's no real framing here or anything. So I just kind of said, hey, there's a gap between the window and where this hole is. I guess that's good. So I'm gonna do the same thing, just take my knife and cut this edge off here. And then before I do that, actually, I might as well just go do my tracing and stuff over there, and that way they're both traced before it's hanging out loose here and the tape is off and everything. So I'm gonna go do that, and then at some point I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm doing the corners on this, because the corners are kind of supposed to be like rounded instead of this. Once I cut this, it's gonna be just this 90-degree angle here. So I guess I'm just gonna have to like estimate it. I guess that's where they were saying using a protractor. I don't have a protractor, so I'm just gonna figure out something for the corners. All right, so here we have the almost complete template. So I'm gonna get that junk off there, take it over there, see how it fits on there. Nice thing about this thing being in here now is that I can pretty much easily tell how this fits on here. It's only gonna fit on, I guess it would fit on what? Could it fit on two ways? I don't know. I'm trying to think in my head. If it spun around in a certain way, would it be able to get on another way, but just upside down? I don't know, but I'm gonna mark it so that way I know this is the side that's supposed to be like face up on this. And then after I test it on there and see how well it will work for both of these, I think what I'm gonna do for the corners, I'm gonna try to figure out how to make like a corner, basically a corner template out of a piece of cardboard, and then that way I can just trace it onto all the corners and they'll all be even rather than one at a time doing them and end up having ones that are different angles and bigger or smaller and stuff. They'll all just be a copy of the exact same thing. Oh my god, I feel like I'm gonna die. I just realized I was like, oh, this doesn't line up at all. These windows are so different. I did that whole template with the window partially open. I think I literally have to start that whole template over. I don't know any other way of doing it. I am so pissed off at myself right now. Oh my god, I just did all that work. I'm trying to think is there any way I can salvage that and make it work, but I think I literally have to start over. The only other thing is if I like cut off that edge and taped it onto that edge. I just wasted so much time. Oh my god, I feel like an idiot. Okay, so what I think I'm gonna do, instead of completely starting this over, basically the template itself is good. It was just in the wrong position. It's, I have this window closed now. I checked. So just all that happened was because that lock is now down further, the whole template slid over. But the template itself is the right shape, it's just not in the right position. So what I'm gonna do is just extend this cut out so that way I can slide it down, put it into place, and then it'll be where it needs to be. This hole will just be too big, basically, which doesn't, I'm not actually going to be doing anything with this hole when I'm cutting out the wall. The whole thing's going to be cut out. So that's what I'm going to do. I just have to be careful to make sure it lines up and everything, and I'm cutting out the right amount, so that way it do I even really need to do this? Now I'm thinking about this. I mean, it's good for testing on there, I guess, to make sure that it'll fit. But really, if all I'm doing is cutting out this, the rest of the template's fine. I don't know. I'm going to do it just so that way I can test it over there and see that it actually properly fits without just slightly opening the window, hoping it's the right amount that I did the other one. Oh, let me figure out what I'm doing here. I'm definitely not recutting out the entire template. I know that. This is still a good template itself. It's just this hole is in the wrong spot. This hole should be, as you can see here, this lock is now very close to this edge of this frame here, whereas before it was like way back here. So all that needs to happen would be this hole moves over, and really that doesn't even need to happen because the lock isn't really part of the template at all. It was just a holding thing. So I'm gonna take this over and just test. All I really want to test is the edges. Obviously this edge are gonna be kind of not perfectly accurate at all. But the other sides should be able to somewhat test, obviously, without being taped down and stuff. But I should be able to at least get a good idea of will this template work for both of them. So that way, boom, I'm done templating other than the corners. So yeah, blah, blah, blah. Gonna go test it out. Hopefully you don't have to cut anything else with this. And I just have to figure out the corners. Okay, so as far as these edges go, it seems fine. It's, here's the thing. So the pyramid ends like right here, and then that's where this lines up. So everything seems fine. I checked the other side too. Obviously I can't really perfectly test this and this, but this and this looks like it does when it's over there where it's, you know, awkwardly hanging off to one side. So that's fine. I really scared the crap myself though. I thought it was gonna start completely over, but I'm just gonna leave it how it is. It's fine, and do the corners. I think for the corners I might take a piece of cardboard, put it on like put the cardboard down, put this on top of it, and just trace that, because that's a good corner shape right there. And then basically just take that and put it here. Just have to make sure it doesn't take off too much from the corners, because I didn't really factor that into my measurements on here at all. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so I traced going along the corner and then cut this out. So I'm gonna see how this works out here. As you can see here, seems like it, you know, it's a pretty good match for, you know, this corner compared to that corner. Seems like pretty similar. So I'm gonna put it on here. I'm gonna trace it first, and then I'll probably do that knife test to see, you know, it doesn't seem like it's gonna take off a ton, as you can see there, just holding up. But I want to make sure it's definitely not gonna take off so much that it's gonna screwing up, you know, getting like the framing, hitting the wall or anything like that. Okay, so I traced that stuff on there. Now what I have to do is I have to estimate how open this was when I originally did all this, because in order to keep like sitting into this insulation, and it's just all right. So I have to estimate it because if I have this completely closed, I have it a little bit open right now, but this won't line up, so I won't be able to tell how these corners are gonna, you know, affect everything. So I have it somewhat open. I don't know if it's the exact level that it was before. So obviously this side and this side are fine. It's really the other edges I'm worried about. So this goes close to the that framing there, but it's not like right on top of it. This one is a little bit tougher to work with because I can't just feel anything there. I have to just kind of like look under here and see what is lining up there. Yeah, it's a little bit tough to try to figure out exactly what belongs where. So always remember to close your windows before you start tracing them. So I am gonna, I guess, go with this setup here. It seems like it's pretty even on either side. I'm gonna do the old knife test of stabbing through. Try to just put it like right through kind of like the middle there and see where it ends up. If it looks like it's going to end up getting into the framing, I might have to like make these smaller somehow. No, let's just keep it going, figure it out. Okay, so I did the knife test on all four. They seem fine. Nothing, it definitely brings it in closer along there towards the framing, but nothing that at least appears to have any effect on being able to get the window in there. So I am going to quick take a bathroom break, and then I will cut those out. Then I'll do another test over there, see how it fits on that one again. Again, not really going to get too accurate of a test because I screwed up with the window being open when I did it, but just to see how it looks. And then I will take this and put it up there, and I guess it'll be time to actually start marking it out and putting some holes in there. All right, here we are. We got the corners all cut out. I think they look pretty good. Just slapping it on there. Again, this is just an estimate because of my screw up about the window being open, but I don't notice any spots where I'm hitting any of the framing as I feel around here, which is good. So, all right, so I'm gonna test it on there as well. Obviously, just gonna be an estimate for my screw up, and then I am going to slap it on up here and see how it fits there. Obviously, this is going to be larger than this little hole here, so we're definitely going to be cutting through these, I don't know what the hell you want to call them, but these hunks of metal here. Okay, so I have this taped on here, labeled top and bottom. I guess I am going to take a Sharpie, draw an outline tracing it, and then the idea is you basically just drill in some holes so that way when you get to the outside you know where to basically put this to then trace out there. I don't know why everyone cuts from the outside, but everybody does. I almost feel like it would be easier just to cut in here because you're already in here. But I see a lot of people just cutting on the outside of the van. But anyway, I guess it would be good just to see what the hell you're doing on the outside as well. But yeah, I purposely put this, I'm hoping the way I have it taped on here, it will be just, actually it looks like I might need to drop it down a little bit more. But I want it to be just under this, basically I'll show you over here. There's this and then there's this. And rather than trying to cut a line going all the way through this, double pieces of metal here, I would rather just cut right underneath it and only have to cut through one. That's my thinking there. But I also want it to be, as high as possible, so I want it right up against that edge. Whereas the pieces here, I do have to cut through another piece of metal, but it's just cut, and then you're done cutting that, and you just keep cutting through just one piece, and then there's another, cut through that, and then back to cutting through one piece. Whereas if I have this up higher, let's say if I moved it up to, here, the whole way along this top edge, I'm cutting through extra metal, and it's going to be that much harder. So yeah, I think I am going to drop this down another hair, because when I was taping this up originally, I had this push down flush, which this hunk is here, but then ends. So like I'll show you here, it has this raised up part and then it drops down. So I had it basically pushed up flat, but then when I went to tape on the other side, it kind of popped back out to be flat going up and down. So now I think it's actually going to be if I put my marker in here, it's going to end up tracing on that extra piece of metal there. So I'm going to drop this down and then do my tracing. Okay, so I dropped it down just a little bit, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to be tracing just going straight along here, which means my line will actually be a tiny bit outside of the template, and then when I cut, I will just cut on the inner part of that line that I made. Yeah, that makes sense. So right now my finger here, pretending to be a marker, is touching that metal, but I'm gonna end up cutting down here. So yeah, so that's my game plan here. It looks relatively straight. I mean, obviously you can't really use like a level in this situation because you're in a van, which may or may not be parked on an angle. So a level really won't do any good. So just eyeballing it, it seems to be good. Template is all there. I think it is almost time to cut hole in the side of the van. Definitely nervous about this. There's really no going back after this. You know, right now I could rip out this insulation. I could take this floor up, put the bolts back in. But once I cut this hole, you can't uncut a hole. So it's definitely a little bit terrifying. But yeah, I think it's definitely just time to do it. Rip off that Band-Aid and put the first real hole in the van. And just hope that I know enough about what I'm doing that I'm doing it correctly. Okay, so marker in hand, I am gonna do this. I'm not backing down, but so I was talking before about people cutting inside versus outside. I don't know why people cut outside. I can't find any real explanation as to why a lot of people cut it from the outside. Only thing I can think of is they just have, you know, extension cord running from their house or wherever they are, and they're just cutting it on the outside just because it's out there. But for me, I think it makes more sense to cut it on the inside. I'm gonna use this Sharpie, put it on here. When I put up the walls, you're not gonna see any leftover mark. I don't have to worry about like, oh, do I need to get a dry erase marker if I'm coloring on the outside of the van, because I don't want permanent marker stuck on there. And then also I have to worry about cutting through, you know, these ridges here. If I'm on the outside, I can't see where those are. I'm just gonna be cutting, and then suddenly just hit something, you know, twice as hard as the rest of the metal. Yeah, I can't find any logical explanation as to it. So I think I'm just gonna trace it in here, put, you know, some holes going around it, you know, drill it in there. I'll go outside and just, I mean, there's marks on the van where this lines up, so I know it's not gonna be in any weird spot. It's not supposed to be the cement for windows. And then I'm just gonna have my jigsaw in here. I mean, it's gonna make just as much of a mess whether I'm in here or out there, because the saw's gonna be cutting through, you know, on both sides. So there's gonna be metal shavings inside and outside, either way. So yeah, and then I mean, the only thing I can think of is it would be easier, I guess, to tape things in place. Like as you cut, you're supposed to tape the metal back down to keep it stable so it's not shaking all over the place while you're cutting it, which would probably be a little bit easier from the outside. But I could even just go back outside, put some tape on it, come back inside and cut. So that's what I'm thinking, because I don't want to have permanent markers stuck on the outside, especially if I'm purposely cutting on the inside of the line. And yeah, why not? It'll be warmer in here. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, I am going to cut this today. I realized I was so focused on the height of the window, I didn't really pay attention to where I was actually putting it widthwise. So I just measured. This is about 6 inches back here. This is about 9 inches. I'm measuring from this, you know, lip here going to the edge, and I don't know if I want it like that or not. I mean, I think it looks good here. I definitely don't want it pushed all the way to that corner, just because that it's going to make it a lot harder to deal with the wall, because there's already wiring there, and I'm going to have probably even more wiring going on in there. Not as obnoxious as these tubes going through here, but still going to have stuff going on there, and I got to figure out how I'm going to do a wall around that crap. So I definitely like having at least that 6 inches there to work with, but I don't know if I want to move it down so it's actually even in between these lips. But also these are going to be covered up anyway, so this is all going to be one big, you know, flat wall besides, you know, the window here. So I'm also just thinking about where everything's going to be placed in here. Do I want it, you know, the opening part is going to be on this, you know, half of it, and is this where I want this half to be, or do I want that to be a few inches down further? So it's hard to film in here because when I go to the, you know, filming mode instead of the just take a picture, it kind of zooms in for some reason, and there's like nowhere to stand here today because I got all this stuff here. So yeah, so that is what I'm working with. Height wise, I think it looks good. And obviously I want the windows to be like parallel. I want them to, line up. I don't want one set back here and one set up there. So I mean, I think it looks pretty good here. Like I said, this will give me enough room to work with as far as if I need any wiring to be going on over here. I still have no idea how I'm gonna deal with this stupid crap they have going through here. I want to keep it because it'll be nice to have these, built-in lights that'll just, turn on briefly when I'm getting in or out of the van, and that way I'm not like walking into darkness if I'm getting in here at night, searching for a light switch or something. These will kick on for at least a few minutes, and then I can flick on my LEDs and these will just go off. So I want these to stay in here, and this also doesn't just hook up this also hooks up the other stuff, I think, like taillights and stuff. So I'm not gonna remove that like I had originally planned when I very early on just first got the van. So I do have to figure out how I'm covering that up and everything else. Yeah, I think I might just leave it like this. I think doing 6 inches here, 9 inches there, why not? And then it'll be just a funny story to everybody. Hey, did you know that my windows are 6 and 9 inches away from the edges? 69, LOL, ha ha ha. So gonna trace this and put those, like I said, I'm gonna drill the holes in. One, that'll help mark kind of around it besides just a marker, and two, that's the spot to put the jigsaw bit in to then start going around, and then it'll just help to connect it, basically connect the dots going all the way around. Okay, so like I said, I think I'm just leaving it here. And when I go to the other side, I'll just measure the same thing. Then that side I will be a little bit more OCD. I want to be sticking up there and just accidentally ending up with 6 inches over there. I'm gonna actually measure it to make sure it ends up lining up, and I'm hoping that these are more or less the same. I know like the wheel wells are not equal in size, but I think these are pretty much, they look pretty parallel. I mean, one is obviously covered up right now, so it's not the greatest, but they look pretty even. So I should be able to just measure and have it equal out to be the same thing and end up in the same spot. The back is obviously all even, I would hope. So therefore, as long as I measure 6 inches there, it should line up. All right, now I think it is officially time to get the marker out and do this. I don't think there's anything else to go over. I've dealt with the height of it, dealt with now the width, of it. Everything should be planned out. Everything should be good to go. I think it's time to do the marker and drill. Okay, so as you can see, try to line up here. Like I said, when I put the marker on there, it ends up drawing above it, just because that's how it works. Oh, I just missed a little spot there. I just realized you're gonna have to put that on there. And obviously anything behind the tape doesn't have a mark because the tape is holding it up. So yeah, as you can see, the marker goes around the outside. So that's why I'm going to be drilling and cutting on the inside of that line. And we'll see how it goes, if I need to do any extra cutting then as a result. So yeah, I'm going to touch up that one little spot there, and then get this template out of there and start putting some drill holes in there. Okay, so got the drill out and the bits and all that fun stuff. Took down the template here. What I did, any spots that had the duct tape where I couldn't trace it, I put dots. That way when I'm going around, I know that that is essentially kind of like more of an estimate. These ones up here are pretty fine because it's just a straight line. But down here, you're going up and down different like levels here. So just wanted to make myself aware, like, this is an estimate. Don't trust this as much as the rest of it. But don't trust any of it. As seen by my work today, was making a template from an open window. So yeah, so I am going to make some holes in this thing. Probably use like a smaller or like a medium-sized bit at first, put some holes going around, and then make at least like 1 or 2 big holes that I'm actually going to be, starting from to get that jigsaw in there to be able to then start cutting. All right, here we go. All right, so I am just sweating right now. There is the very first hole in the van that I've made. Oh my God, that was terrifying. So I made it through. It was definitely tough to drill. Definitely a lot tougher to drill metal than just wood. So I'm just gonna go around and just keep making some holes. Probably make, I don't know, maybe I'll do like some, kind of going around like the different corners, like make one there, just going around. And then I'm going to take that template and just go outside and make sure that looks good out there as well. Just coming from the other side, make sure it actually like makes sense and kind of lines up. And then the really terrifying part, instead of just making a bunch of little tiny holes, taking this whole thing out of here. All right, hole number 2. This is this is, like I said, way tougher than just drilling wood. I was standing there just putting all my weight into that drill, just drilling, and then Brian's like, "Oh, I feel like I can see like a little bit light coming through," and then suddenly just almost smacked my head off the wall here because it finally like gave way and went through. So yeah, be prepared for that if you are ever drilling into a van or whatever type of metal. It's going to take a while. You're going to be putting a lot of pressure on, and then suddenly you're going to go flying forward and almost smack your face off the wall. Alright, so I'm trying to film this with one hand. This is what we're working with. So we're outside the van, obviously. It's hard to see where the holes are because one cardboard is partially covering up some of the holes, and because the shadow being created out here in the sunlight, but they are there somewhere. There's one. So yeah, I think it lines up pretty well there. So as terrifying it is, I think it is time to actually get the saw going. Okay, got the saw out here. So this is what I have been using. This is meant for wood. So I'm gonna take that out and switch it. I have this pack here. You can see the wood one's missing. That's what I've been using. And then this pack is just terrible in terms of the packaging. So there's actually 2 metal ones on top of each other. They're moved around. But I'm gonna use one of these metal ones. I don't know. This one's meant for just one. This one's meant for cutting more metal. I don't know. That weird shape. So I don't know. I'm just gonna pop one of these in there. I don't think it really matters. Not like I'm trying to make artwork here. I'm just trying to cut out a hole. So I'll pop one of those in there. Hopefully this thing is strong enough to cut this. I do need to I think I'm supposed to have this swing straight in and out for this process. I've heard people say that if they have it on some kind of different thing that's meant more for wood, ends up causing issues. Just makes it harder to cut. So I'm gonna have it set to that, just straight up and down. Put one of these in there, get it plugged in, and then it is gonna be time to cut. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it in sections. I haven't planned out actually how exactly which sections I'm cutting out when and what are the sections, but basically the idea is you have to cut cut part and then tape that down so it doesn't keep vibrating and shaking, because it just gets worse and worse as you go throughout. If you don't tape anything down, by the end you have this big flapping piece of metal flying all over the place while you're trying to cut it, and it just makes a mess and you end up with a huge problem basically. So yeah, so I am going to, I'm gonna take care of this stuff, and then I'll plan out exactly what sections are gonna be cut when. I'm thinking I'm gonna want to cut these bits early on, so that way it's as stable as it's gonna be basically. So maybe I'll cut from like here going over part of the way, and then from here going over part of the way, same thing over there, and then basically just go around and do the sides and then do the middle parts and just tape as I go along. All right, so I got this all hooked up there. It's a pretty intense looking blade compared to that tiny little one I was using for the wood. All plugged in, ready to go. I have my plan for cutting. got my tape here. I was about ready to cut, and then I was like, you know what? Those bits of wood that came off and would like get my eyes and shit. That was kind of irritating. Wonder how much worse that's gonna be if I get any metal in my eyes. So I'm gonna go grab something to put on my eyes, some type of like protective glasses, and also probably just grab like a face mask, throw that on, so I'm not breathing in metal or getting metal shards in my eyes while doing this project. Glad I thought of that before I got metal in my eye. So let me don't do that. And then this, I mean, these holes were terrifying enough, but now cutting out this entire panel, wow. I mean, it's it's really kind of a scary thought. But I'm sure once it's done, it's gonna be like a band-aid, and that one's gonna be like nothing. I'm not even gonna care about. I'm just gonna like cut it out, no problem. So here we go. Okay, so I am all suited up here, and this is getting all fogged up already. So I think I'm gonna end up maybe just doing the glasses and not this, because I need to be able to see what the hell I'm doing. So yeah, all ready to go here. Time to cut this out and then get this window in there. Okay, so I lied. Before I can cut this out, I need to have holes big enough to get that bit, jigsaw bit, whatever the hell you want to call it, in there. And these are not. I just tested it out. So I'm going to take that 1/4 inch bit. That's the biggest one I have, so it should be good enough. And it was not. Oh, it's going to have to be. So now I'm just going to widen up these holes going around here, and then that way I can actually get this stuff in there. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Do I want to widen up these holes? Because I don't. If I put it in here, I don't want the hole to go out that way. So maybe I'll just put some random hole somewhere. I don't know. I'm gonna put a 1/4 inch hole somewhere in here, or at least multiple of them anyway. And then I'm gonna start sawing. Okay, so trying to film this with one hand while holding the saw with the other and not making this all go. So this was the biggest bit I had, 1/4 inch, and this is the jigsaw, trying to get the bit in there. So you can see it just gets the very edge in, and then it kind of gets stuck. So I think that's going to be good enough, especially since I made it in the middle of the template rather than right at the edge. So even if it kind of fucks up a little bit trying to get going, it's not a big deal, because that piece right there that's connecting those two dots is just trash anyway. It's not actually going to be used for anything. So I am going to go from that circle. Let me put the saw down so I can kind of point at what I'm talking about. Go from the big circle here up to that one to connect it, and then making that hard turn. I'm hoping that the jigsaw doesn't have any issues, because there's this ledge here. Should be fine, just gonna be a little bit awkward. And then gonna go around here, gonna hit this thick piece here. I want to cut that, and once I get through that, I'm just gonna stop. These glasses fog up so bad compared to my regular glasses when I'm wearing a mask. So I'm gonna cut through that, stop. I don't know if my phone just died or what the hell just happened, but the music just stopped. So you guys can probably hear me better now. Okay, so now that my glasses are less foggy, I actually see I was about to kind of stop here. Yeah, the ledge just keeps going until here. So I'm gonna cut there and then stop. And then I'm basically gonna just repeat that. So go from the big hole I made to that one, connect it, and then take that turn, and then going to go cutting through this big awkward thing. After I cut this, I'll tape it up. After I cut that, I'll tape it up. And then over here, same thing. So all that's going to be left is basically from this circle going down to that circle, the middle section here, top and bottom, and then same thing over here, circle to circle there. So I'll just do one edge, tape it, one edge, tape it, and then bottom and top, or top and bottom, whichever order I'm going in there, and tape those up as I go, and then it'll be all cut out. Okay, so I just put it in the big hole there, and then hit the saw to start it, and it just kicked back and ended up stabbing right in there. I'm just glad it's part that I'm getting rid of anyway. So I guess I'm gonna have to come up with a slightly different plan here for this, because that did not work at all. Okay, so I was trying the same thing over and over and wasn't working out. So then I switched on that little circle control where it had the different like speeds and styles of cutting, and I was like, maybe I'll just switch it all the way to the slow end and see if that works better, just to get it started, get in there. And it snapped the blade off. So clearly that was not the answer. I'm gonna grab another metal blade and see what the hell I can do here. I don't know how else to go about doing it. I'm obviously gonna switch it back to the other thing where it doesn't break the blade. But I mean, I'm putting all my force in it, trying to keep it in the hole rather than having it kick back out and then jabbing into the metal. But it is just not cooperating at all. That's why I was thinking maybe if I switch it to the other end, maybe it'll be a little bit less power just to get it started, rather than being so powerful that it kicks back off of it. I'm hoping that this jigsaw is like good enough. Like I don't need like something like way more powerful or something. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to try to do with it. Okay, so last time I went with the, I'll say it on here somewhere, T18B, and now I'm doing the T18A, which you can't see the label because it's locked in there. I got it switched back to the just going straight in rabbit mode thing. I don't see any other real settings on here to be able to mess with anything. It says variable speed, but I don't think that has anything to do with this button here. It doesn't really seem like it does anything. I think they just mean like that. I don't know. Maybe not. So I'm just going to give it another shot. Hopefully don't break any more blades off of this thing. And we'll see what the hell happens. Okay, so I cannot get it. As you can see, I'm just making holes, these dents just all over the freaking place. I tried like wiggling it in there, try to get it deeper in there, and then start, and it still just keeps kicking. I mean, the blade from slamming into the metal actually looks all like curved because it's been repeatedly just getting slammed into the metal there. Only other thing I can think of is attempting to make the hole bigger, which is going to be really tough because it's metal, but I'm going to try to widen it up with that drill bit, and then see if I can get this just all the way in there, put the drill, the saw flat against the wall, and just hold it down and try cutting it then. But this is just a pain in the ass. I didn't realize this was going to be this tough. I thought the toughest part was just me convincing myself to cut it, not the actual cutting it. Yeah, that's the only other thing I can think of right now. I don't know if they make like stronger bits for this, but yeah, I mean if this would focus properly, it looks like it's all wavy now because it's been just slammed into the wall. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, so it's now big enough of a hole that can fit in there, and this can get all the way flat on there. So I'm going to stop filming here in a second. I'm going to put just all my weight into it and just hold it down and get it going and see if I can get it to work. If not, I'm gonna have to do some more research and see maybe this jigsaw just isn't powerful enough to deal with metal. I mean, I don't recall it saying anything about that when I bought it, as far as being like wood only or anything like that. So yeah, I'm gonna see how it goes, and next update will either be once again a failure or I'll be cutting along here. Okay, so that seemed to do the trick. So all I did so far was cut that little line that I wanted to stop and show it. I don't know how hard it's going to be to do a turn on this. On the wood, it wasn't terrible. On this metal, I don't know. It could be a huge pain in the ass, but we'll see. Okay, so it seems like it's possible to make a turn with this, go around the curve. But the issue is, I'm trying to point with the hand I'm filming with. This edge of the black part here keeps hitting up against the metal on here, so I can't make that turn to go from here to then turning to be able to go along here. I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with this yet, but I might just go down and deal with the bottom for now and just deal with that because there's nothing blocking it down there. I'll have to widen up that hole obviously and then cut along there. Who knows, I might end up having to cut I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Maybe I'll end up having to just widen up that hole so I can just put it in there already sideways, rather than having to go from that big hole and then curve through that smaller hole to get on that line. I'll figure it out. Okay, so here's what I went with. I took that 1/4-inch bit, put it in here, made that bigger, and then just went side to side for widening it. I didn't do any up and down because it's right on that line there. And now that jigsaw bit fits in there, so I can just put it in there sideways and just go in a line rather than having to try to, you know, go up and curve, have that piece hit here. And yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. I am going to put in here, just go right on down here, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so it cut. Word of warning, I've never seen in any videos. For some reason, when you're cutting metal, I guess it's probably just because of the setting on this thing. When you change it from that one meant for like wood compared to meant for metal, this thing cuts fast. It moves. You gotta be prepared. You gotta make sure you are lined up and ready to go because it starts going. Yeah, so it cut right along there. Went probably closer to the line than I really was thinking of originally doing it, but it is still below that extra layer there. Especially when I hit this extra layer of metal here, it was vibrating. I mean, my hand, sorry, I just hit the stop record button there. My hand is just like, wow, it's kind of in pain there. I did not see that coming. So yeah, so if you are ever jigsawing metal, make sure you are lined up and ready to go. Maybe have some kind of like shock absorbing gloves on, because that thing just shakes and it goes fast. I mean, when I was cutting through that wood, it never, thank goodness it didn't, because I had to go around all those different angles and everything for the different shapes. I would have screwed up so much wood if it went that fast. So yeah, so that bit is cut there. You can see it has a tiny bit of give here just because, you know, it is cut, but not a whole lot because it's just that one straight line. Didn't do any of the corner or anything like that yet. I'm gonna go throw a little bit of tape on the outside on this and then come back in, and I'm basically just gonna keep repeating that process, you know, just drilling those holes out bigger. Yeah, I think I might even just ignore those holes that I made and just go right for the ones on the edges. Do that same thing where I just put the 1/4 inch in there and then just side to side, and then that way I can just boom, straight line rather than having to worry about doing a whole lot of turning, just because after that experience it's like I don't know if I trust myself doing a lot of turning with this yet. I need some practice first. Okay, so here is the next line I did. I taped that part and then did this. This one got real angry trying to go over these humps here, but I made it through. So again, a little bit of movement, nothing crazy so far. It's only a little bit has been cut. So I'm gonna tape that up, and then same thing over there. Make that hole bigger, do the line across, tape it, do that. My phone is getting close to being dead. In fact, I just got the low power thing popping up there while I'm trying to record. So I am gonna chuck this on the charger and just keep doing this. The next couple things are basically just to be repeats of what I've been doing here, and then I'll let it charge for a little while and hopefully be able to get it back out here to show the rest of the cuts that I'm gonna be doing. Okay, so I'm trying to film this with my other phone here that I actually use for my actual phone instead of just as a camera, and I'm hoping that it's going to like sync up with my other one so that way I can include all the footage. I don't know if it's recording like sideways, like when I tilted it over, nothing changed, so I don't know, we'll find out. So all of those 4, you know, straight bits going across this heavy duty stuff is cut. This side was easier, I think, just because like being right-handed and going at it from that angle. This one was a little bit tougher. This one was a huge pain in the ass. I got it from here up to about here, and it just stopped and it wouldn't go anymore. It just kept kicking it back out and, you know, jabbing it everywhere, as you can see. So then I made a hole over here, tried to get it that way. I got it to go that way, but then there was ended up being basically it didn't line up. This went up that way and this was going that way, so then I had to go back through it again. So there's just all kinds of like shards of freaking metal sticking out here and on the other side. So So yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to do some like sanding on that or something. Make sure nobody gets stabbed while I'm trying to install this window or anything. So yeah, basically all I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna have to attempt to do these curves, which is frightening. So I'm gonna be going from these larger holes here and just going down and trying to connect everything and then taping it. Same thing on the other side. And then, like I said, I'm going to be doing the middle parts. Luckily, all the thick stuff is done over here. Obviously, for the other window, I'm going to have to do the same exact thing. But over here anyway, I don't have to cut any more of this double layer stuff. Especially this on the bottom was really tough. Up here, it's at least all flat. So, it definitely is more work to get through it. But here, I mean, it's like you're going up like hills. And it was a huge pain. That one was, tricky, but this one was just a disaster. But I made it through, and I mean, more or less the lines up. So whatever. Like I said, once I get this all out of here, anything that's kind of sticking out weird or whatever, I can just like sand down and make less deadly, and then do the primer and seal and all that. All right, so I'm gonna do that. Hopefully this video syncs and I don't forget about it and end up not uploading this part, and hopefully it's not all sideways, but there we go. Okay, so I got both of these whole sides cut out and taped up. Wasn't too bad. Only tough spot on both sides was coming. I started at the bottom and I came up is once the black, I don't know, dart, I don't know, whatever you want to call, would kind of hit here along this little edge. So I would have to kind of like stop and kind of angle it a little bit. So that way the black part would kind of just land on top of here and then be able to cut, and then it would just coast along there. Same thing for that side. And so yeah, going good. So I am going to go ahead to the bottom strip, tape it, top strip, and that's it. This whole piece will be ready to take right on out. And then I just want to clean up the edges, especially that edge, and then do the primer, read over those instructions, those terrible instructions again, as far as that, how long I'm supposed to sit and how much I'm supposed to be putting on there and everything. And then I will so I'll read over the instructions, do the primer, and then it'll be time to figure out how I'm getting that sealant out of the container to get on here, and slap the window on there and let it sit for, I think it's supposed to sit for like, I think you're supposed to have like taped on for like 3 hours, and you're not supposed to drive for 6 hours. So I forget what it is exactly, but I'll figure it out. So my glasses were all fogged up from the stupid freaking mask I'm trying to protect my face with. And I ended up going up onto the that ledge there. And so it's getting real hard to cut, the thing I did not want to do. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to now angle it back down to get just underneath that. But almost there. The bottom one's all cut and taped. So I cannot get this angle down if it's actually gone up while cutting this. So I don't want to fuck this up anymore. I'm going to go over here and cut from that way and just try to connect it with it. I don't know why the hell it won't change. I mean, the angle's actually going the opposite direction I want it to go. Oh, I can't fucking talk with this thing. Okay. So I am going to, I'm going to go over here and just see if I can get it to meet up. I don't get why. I mean, I'm putting all the pressure, trying to get it to turn, just like I did, around the corners, like I did with the wood, and yet it's going the opposite direction I want it to go. So I'm just going to start over here and try to get it to line up rather than having this continue to go way the fuck up to who knows where. To work it that way. And I broke another freaking bit. Okay. So that's 2 on the day. And only one window partially done. So I'm going to grab another bit, chuck it in there, and try to finish this freaking top line. I don't know why suddenly this top part is suddenly like the hardest freaking part of the thing. It won't cut the way I want it to cut. It won't go in the right direction. I don't know. I'm going to grab a bit and try to finish this. I put that bit in, cut it. I had to go up to meet up with this, otherwise I would just end up with this random line, and I didn't want that. So Even though it would be covered up by part of the window anyway. I figured I'd just have one solid hole here rather than a hole and then a random line just jetting upwards. So this is fully out as far as I can tell. I think so. There might be one little bit still connected in there actually, but I'm gonna go out there, unduct tape it, and see if I can get this whole baby to pump on out of here. Okay, so it is cut here, obviously, but as you can see, I mean, the edges are just all screwed up, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to clean these up inside and out, because that's certainly not gonna work out well. So I don't know if a sander works on something like this. I watched the video and this guy had this like big metal, kind of like a giant size nail file, except it was metal and super thick, and he used that on the edge. I don't have anything like that, so I'm trying to see if just a regular sander will work on it or not. So I'm gonna give it a shot. Probably need to use a pretty intense sanding, pad or whatever to be able to work on this, because I imagine this would just eat right through those pads. So I don't know if that's even a good idea. I might just screw up the sander. Trying to think what else I would have to use on something like this, because I am certainly not driving the van like this right now with the giant hole in it. So let me figure it out. I'm not even going to put the window up here yet because I don't want to scratch it on things like that. But in theory, it should fit in there based on my measurements and my somewhat okay cutting skills. I just need to deal with the roughness now. Then I'll hold it up there and do a little test, and then I will do the primer and then sealing, and it'll be sealant stuff, and it'll be in there. I just gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with this. So let me do some research and see what I'm gonna do. Okay, so they have one of those big metal file things at Lowe's. I just checked online, although I've been lied to before by them about their stuff that's in stock. So I think I'm just gonna end up going to get that because I looked information about sanding this, and you would have to use, like I said, really intense stuff, and I don't think it's really for this type of purpose of like removing hunks of metal that are just hanging off here. I'm almost tempted to just take the saw back to this and just try to chop that off without damaging the shit out of everything that's around it, though. So I mean, I even could just like bend it back and forth for a while and end up getting off, but it's still going to be super rough, so I'll still need that file. So I'm going to go pick that up, and then get back here, file the crap out of this stuff to get it to a normal, smooth kind of edge that I can actually prime without cutting myself. I'm determined to try to bend this off here now, though, but that's still really thick. It bends pretty easy now, but it's still really not really going anywhere. So yeah, I'm gonna go get that file. I think it's only like $8 from Lowe's, so figure what the hell, I'll use it here, I'll use it on the other one, I'll probably end up using it on stuff on the roof, so it'll be worth it, and then I can get going on with this. So back from Lowe's, I got these three here. The guy in the video did a really good job cutting his, so he just took one flat one and just went around to clean it up. Mine is not so clean, so I got these. I guess the round ones help kind of clean it up faster, so I'm gonna do that. Gonna get rid of the major ones, major bits that are screwed up, and then just go over it to make it all smooth. Okay, so I got sick of trying to file that down. It wasn't really working out, so I just took the jigsaw and just swiped that off there. I might do the same with this little bit that's down in there if I can get it back out without cutting the shit on myself. But now basically I don't see anything else, at least on the inside part, that's hanging way the hell out like that other piece. So I'm just gonna work on sanding it. I'll go outside and check it out as well, and yeah. So I'm sitting here wondering why these different files aren't really doing a hell of a lot, and I realize they need to be like unwrapped. So I was, instead of filing, I was just like rubbing plastic against the metal. So I'm gonna get these all unwrapped now and actually file. Okay, so there's still these weird, humps and stuff, and you know the little semicircles from the bolt holes, or not the bolt holes, the so used to saying that, just you know the holes I made in there initially, but overall it's pretty smooth now, kind of. At least, you know, I mostly was focusing on the outer part here where stuff is going to get stuck to it. So I'm going to wipe this stuff down, get it kind of cleaned up, get all the metal dust and all that kind of crap off there. That way it's ready to get the primer put on there, and then it'll be just about time to stick the window up there, which is good because this is taking like all day. So this is the outside. I got really worried about this height here because of how much, you know, overhang is on this window. I just held it up and it fits. Luckily, I would have lost my mind if it did not fit in here, and I don't even know what I would have had to do. But it fits, so I'm just doing some wiping down here, cleaning up the edges, so that way it's ready for the primer. Looks pretty good. Just clean it up and then give it another wipe here with a towel, and then get that primer on there. I gotta look up, see how long that's supposed to sit on there, and then we are almost done with window one. Okay, so this is the primer that came with the sealant stuff and a little ball thing to spread it. Yeah, I'm just gonna put it on there. Just gonna spread it all around on the outside, put some on the inside along the edge, basically to prevent any rusting should any like moisture get on there, because right now we have exposed metal, whereas before it was all, you know, painted and connected, whereas now there's metal there that doesn't have any paint or anything to protect it. So this is gonna do that job. So gonna just cover everything. It says to let it dry for about 10 minutes, and yeah, and then after that it's time to deal with the sealant. So I'm gonna, while this is drying, I'm gonna work on making sure that sealant is nice and warm, heat it up so the it can actually get out of the tube. All right, so got the inside outside covered along with the edge. Didn't realize this was also going to be black. I kind of thought by the bottle it was going to be white, but came out all black. So I just primed going all around it to protect that metal. Yeah, and now I am going to let it sit here for 10 minutes before I come back out with that sealant. That will hopefully be nice and warm so I can stick it on there. Alright, so this has been drying for a little over 10 minutes, so it should be good. I have this laid out here. I heated up the caulk, so it seems to be moving good. I just moved it up. You can see the thing they gave you there is clear, so I can see it moving. So gonna put it on there and then slap it up there, and then they said it's supposed to be held up with tape for however many hours, so then I'll put tape on it. And this is the window. They said try not to make a mess with the sealant because it's hard to clean, but there's a lot of mess with the sealant. It's all along there underneath that duct tape, fingerprints everywhere, but it's in there, and even the whatchamacallit's in there. Voila. Okay, so everything visible as far as the sealant being all over the place is basically cleaned up, but I need to get under the tape and clean up that before it ends up solidifying and becoming an even worse mess. And there it is. Let's let it dry. Alright, it is Sunday morning. Here's that window. So I looked up last night about the kind of like dry times and things like that. So the tape is supposed to stand for a full 24 hours and not supposed to dry for 3 hours. So this tape will be coming off later on today and see how it does. The unfortunate thing is that means that tomorrow when I'm going to work on the other side, I'm gonna have a bunch of duct tape all over the window because I'm not gonna be able to have that 24-hour period of it being up there before, you know, I leave for work. So yeah, so that's, I mean, it's looking good. I'm hoping it's being held up more so by the sealant than by just duct tape at this point. I am gonna go get the heater hooked up inside to get that going, and then it'll be time to put that template on the other side. Luckily, it should go a little bit faster today because I'm not going to spend time screaming at the computer, I don't think, because I more or less, I guess I know what I'm doing. I mean, it seems like it's, you know, on there. I do plan on, once I get both of them up and they're all on there and everything, I'm gonna get some like just painter's tape, put it all around the edge, and then take some of the like white sealant that I have in there to seal around other things like the fan and solar and all that stuff, and I'm gonna take that and just go around the edges of both these, just for, you know, just added protection, and that should also help cover up any possible sealant that might still be showing, like those little bits of black there, because that sealant will be all white. Alright, so it's still a little bit chilly out here this morning, so I'm gonna get that heater going, and then we'll be getting to work. Alright, so got this area all cleared out, took all that garbage from yesterday out of here, got everything I need over here, the window, the whole screen, basically all the tools. I gotta get the drill out and get the battery off the charger, bring that out here, and then otherwise I think everything is good to go out here. Yep, the markers there, yep, everything should be there, so I am all good to go. It's just really cold, and I mean, even I was just wearing those big heavy duty gloves there when I was taking out all that garbage out of here and taking it down to the dumpster, and my hands are just cold right now, and I don't even have the gloves on right now because I'm trying to film this. So I think I'm actually gonna go back inside and warm up my hands for a bit. Like I said, I think today's gonna go a lot quicker than yesterday because the template's already done. I already know basically how to do it. One thing that was done wrong in this, and I'm hoping it's not gonna affect it in any major way, on the sealant tube, the thing that screws in the top where it comes out of, I don't know, the tip on it, I don't know what else to call it. Apparently there's a marking on there where they recommend that you cut it, and of course that's not in the instructions anywhere, because the instructions are terrible. So I just cut it at a spot that I thought made sense, and I made, you know, 2 smaller lines going all the way around the you know, outside part of it, but apparently you're supposed to cut it down at a lower point, and I didn't find that out by the instructions. I found out by that video that I was watching where the guy was installing the windows into the smaller Nissan NV. I just happened to, you know, decide to watch the rest of it later on yesterday, and I saw that that's what he did, and oh yeah. So like I said, I made 2 lines going all the way around it, so I'm hoping that even though I cut it in a spot where it's getting smaller lines, because I had 2 of them, I'm hoping it should be fine. But I'll look into chopping it at that other point today when I actually get, you know, close to actually needing to use the sealant. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, like I said, this is still being held up with you know, the tape there, but just putting a little bit of pressure on here. Don't want to do anything crazy with it, but it seems to be doing fine. You know, it's hard to see down there as far as if is there any like major gap or anything, but I don't see any light coming through. And see, here you can see some of the actually that sealant stuff, and it's pretty hard. It does have a little bit of wiggle there, but that's, you know, just a little string hanging off of it, so that's not surprising really. Yeah, overall it looks pretty good. I don't know if I was necessarily supposed to prime on the inside like this. I don't think the other guy in his video did that, and right now it looks pretty terrible because it's just this big black blob surrounding the window, but that's eventually going to be covered up, so I'm not worried about it. I figure, you know, it's not going to do anything harmful, and if it is supposed to be on there to protect it, well, it's on there to protect it. Yeah, and this works. It is a, you know, you got to put some effort into it to really get that open. So I don't know if I'll put like a little WD-40 down into this or something, but yeah, definitely takes a little bit of effort to get it open. And then there you go, closed and locked. Alright, so like I said, I think I'm gonna let it warm up for a tiny bit in here. Um, Close up the door and all that. I'll grab the drill in a little bit, come out here, and then slap that template up on that side, and just do the same thing that I did yesterday, basically. All right, so back out here. Took a longer break than I intended. It has warmed up a little bit. The sun's coming out a bit more. But yeah, I mean, my arms, shoulders, everything are in just like pain today because yesterday, between cutting all that and I mean, the real killer was my arms were already sore from everything during the day, and I thought it was basically done. And then I had to clean the outside of this, so I was just standing there with my arms just straight up, just scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing the crap out of all that sealant off of the outside of the van. And my arms are just dead, and I'm not at all looking forward to cutting this metal today, but I want to get it just done today, in there and sealed up, and just be done with the windows, and they'll both be in there, and I'll just be done with that and be able to move on to the next project, especially because I threw out all the boxing for it, so basically I have to, otherwise I'm risking that flying off of there and breaking next time I drive. So yeah, so definitely going to do it today. I'm just know that then tonight and all day tomorrow, I'm sure I'm just going to be like dead. So yeah, like the template's already done, just going to use that same one. Just gonna, flip it around, put it on there, make sure everything definitely kind of matches up. Obviously, because of that screw up yesterday, it won't be perfectly lined up. And then figure out where I'm putting it on there, measure, make sure it's gonna be lined up relatively close to where this one is. And then it'll be time to trace it, drill, and cut it already, because like I said, template is already all done, so gonna be a lot less time for working today, I would say, but still going to require just as much energy and just cutting and all that fun stuff. So I guess just get it over with. Okay, so I was thinking that this was going to be the same width as this, and I mean, just eyeballing it looked like it was the same, but I mean, this area clearly seems like it should be the same back here, but I think this part extends further out because there's no door there. It just goes to the next section, whereas here that's the same, and then I think it's get cut short because there's a door. So I just stuck this up here, just estimated it, and then did some measurements just to see. This was 5 inches, so I was like, okay, so it needs to move over 1 inch, and that'll be 6, and then that'll end up being 9, just like the other side. But this was 5, and that was 7. So clearly this is a couple inches shorter than the other side. What I'm going to do, I'm going to move this over 1 inch so it's still lined up the same here. So that way the windows will be lined up with each other. It's just that then this portion is going to be a different length, which doesn't really matter because it's going to be covered up by a wall anyway. There's not really going to be any difference between here and here, so I'm not worried about that. I would rather have just the windows be lined up than have them, off center from each other, but being more centered on some random thing, random rectangle that you can't even see. So yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna scooch this down, try to get it closer to 6 inches on this side, and just not even care what's on that side. Also got to make sure the top is lined up decently. So all I did on here, took off the old tape, and then I just wrote top and bottom on this side just like I did on the other. Just made a number 2 on here so I know what side this is. Yeah, so I just put it up here. I only put the pieces on top so far, just trying to get it lined up, and then I'll put the ones on the bottom. Okay, so we're at 6 inches there. Top is set now at a spacing where if I use my finger as a pretend marker, the line will basically run just along the very edge of that, and I'm gonna do the same thing as last time, cutting on the inside of the edge. So I'll be going just underneath that. Yeah, everything looks good there. And just to compare that and that. So obviously there's more of a gap over here, but as far as over there, in theory, they should be lined up. So that way, if you are, sitting right here, I'm sitting right at where the window opening is, and I'm looking right at where that window opening is going to be. So they'll be lined up to allow for a nice cross breeze and just aesthetically just looking nice because they're even as far as height and I don't know, width, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I'm going to now do my tracing around side of the line everywhere except where the tape is. When I take off the tape, I'll do the dotted line just like I did before, and then it'll be time to cut it out already. So like I said, yeah, today's definitely going to be going a lot faster. Just going to be probably actually even more terrible for my arms because my arms already are tired and I haven't even started doing anything. But hopefully I don't break any more of those jigsaw bits, because I have the one that's in there right now and then another one, and that's all the ones I have for metal. So if I break that one, I guess I'm going to be going to Lowe's to search for jigsaw bits. So I broke 2 yesterday. So yeah, time to sketch this on out. Alright, so that is all sketched out there. You can see the dotted parts where the tape was. The line up here, the way that I had it spaced with the cardboard, basically it wanted to basically just draw on the underside of this. If I went up here, it would have been like angled up, so I just kind of angled it slightly down and just went along there. Yeah, everything is looking fine there. I gotta get the drill out to make those holes so I can get the jigsaw in there, and we will be good to go. Alright, so got a couple holes over here done, and my arms are already starting to feel it all up in the shoulders. So I'm going to do the same 4 on the other side just like I did for the last one, and then I think I'm also going to add holes around these tough spots, because those are really, especially the bottom ones, were really tough on the other side. So it might be helpful then to, if I am going around one side and it gets too tough, I'll have a hole right there to be able to then just go from the other side ready to go. Yeah, so I'm gonna put those 4 in, and then a couple around those weird spots, and then it's gonna be time to cut it on out. Okay, so here it is with all the holes. So I did the other 4 over there, and then I put them just on the inner part of the weird stuff. I figure probably won't really need them on the outside, because on the outside I'm gonna be cutting from these holes anyway. So I just did it on there. My shoulders already feel like totally dead. So this is gonna be a fun day. Not looking forward to sawing this, and definitely not looking forward to cleaning up the mess of the sealant afterwards. Hopefully I can just get in there without making as much of a mess. Also not looking forward to having to squeeze the sealant out of that tube. That also killed my arms yesterday. I didn't even film any of that because I just wanted to, I don't think I talked about this yesterday, but I heated up the tube, put some of the sealant on, and it was so tough that I went and heated it back up again to finish the sealant. So yeah, it's definitely real thick, intense sealant that is just a huge pain in the ass. So yeah, so I'm going to I guess just start cutting this and taping it just like I did the other side yesterday. Almost forgot, before I can actually start sawing, I gotta take that 1/4 inch bit. I just did the smaller ones again just to get those in there, but I'm gonna obviously have to make these ones bigger. I'm not gonna do like last time that I started off the first one. I did like a hole next to it and then went to that. I'm just gonna skip all that and just make that hole bigger, make that hole bigger, and that way I can start cutting around everything. I'm just going to do them just all at once in a row this time, rather than doing one at a time and cutting and then drilling, cutting, drilling, cutting. I'm going to widen them all up. I'll probably also just widen up these inner ones just in case I end up needing them, especially the bottom ones, because that's where I had the most trouble yesterday. Alright, so those are all the ones I really need to have bigger are bigger. So I did, you know, the top and bottom there, top and bottom over there, and then these bottom ones. Like I said, the top one didn't give me a whole lot of trouble yesterday. So I'm mostly just worried about these areas. So that's why I made those ones bigger. And I can always make those ones bigger if I run into any issues. But now it is time to get the jigsaw hooked up here and make the first cut, and then put the duct tape on the outside and just keep going back and forth. Okay, so we got the first 2 cuts in there. That one cut and duct tape ready. That one I just cut. These 2 weren't too terrible. I mean, my hand is killing me. My arms are dead, but otherwise it wasn't too crazy. But this is like the easier side. Just like on this one, this was the easier side, because that's where like I'm got my right hand, you know, up against it like that. Whereas now when I do this one, I'm gonna be going from this side into that direction. So that tends to make it a little bit tougher, it seems, at least on the other window it was. So that's why I made sure to put that one there in case I can't get all the way through there. I can just go in that direction and to finish it. That one, hopefully I should be able to get through that one. If not, I'll widen that hole up too and just do the same thing. So yeah, just cutting right on through it just like I did yesterday, putting the tape on it each time. So I'm gonna go slap on duct tape that bottom part. I found that the duct tape has been working really well. I know other people, they were using some other kind of tape in their videos. I don't know if it was like painter's tape or what, but they were like covering the, you know, where they were cutting like crazy to try to keep it stable. But duct tape, I take one piece and just put it over where I cut it, that's fine. And I haven't noticed any issues with like when I take it off, it's ripping off paint off of the part, you know, part of the van that's staying there or anything, or you know, off either part. So it definitely seems to be working totally fine. I would definitely recommend it. It holds it really well, and haven't had any issues with being so strong that it's destroying anything or anything like that. So alright, so I'm gonna slap that tape on there, and then I will cut that one, tape that one, cut that one, tape that one, and I'll just keep filming updates if there is anything really different happening. But as of right now, it's just kind of like the same thing as yesterday, like I said it was going to be. So I'm not gonna try to over film today or anything. I'm sure this is going to be a long video to begin with, so I'll keep this part sparse, and then if I can remember to try to film a little bit of the sealant process, I'll do that, because yesterday I was just way too tired and dead to do that. So if I have any energy left today, I'll try to do that. Alright, so something I have been noticing, unrelated to the window, is this wood back here. I've been using this entrance exit a lot more now since this is all blocked. And so there's no support under the very edge of this, just because of the way that I cut it to where I have the maximum amount of like floor space here, but there's nothing really under it because I don't know what I even could really put under there. I'll try to flip it around here. I don't know what you'll be able to see because I can't see, but it's just kind of empty space down there. I don't want anything that could potentially block the door from shutting properly, and there's not really anything specific to drill anything into. It's a pretty small space as opposed to, you know, the space over at the step over here where I have a whole support system set up. And as a result, when I'm stepping on here, it's kind of bending. I'm not worried about really like breaking or anything like that, but it definitely seems to be doing a lot of wear and tear on the junk that I put in here to kind of fill up that crack. I can't see a whole lot of that one over there. You can't see it at all because of the shadow there right now, but that one seems, I mean, they both definitely lost some of that stuff that I put in there, but this one really seems to be over, you know, between yesterday and now this morning, seems to really be taking a beating from constantly stepping on it and having that kind of bend happen to it just ever so slightly. So I feel like I should at some point find like a better solution for what to put into this crack, and also maybe look into something that I could try to put under there that would like stay there, not block the door. I'm not sure what that would be yet, but that's another project to look into. I haven't sealed this yet, obviously the floor, haven't done any sealant, so I can still kind of do whatever I want to it. I can add more stain, I can add more filler stuff in the middle, whatever I need to do, and not have to worry about like undoing the sealant. So yeah, I am going to, I put the duct tape on there, so now I'm going to go cut that one. Alright, so just like on the other one, those were totally fine. That one wasn't too bad. And now there's issues with this one. So I cut from here to here, and then the, you know, that guard on the saw was hitting up against here. So like, you know what, I'll just come over here and do it. And it went through pretty easy until it hit here. And now it's giving me that kickback where it shoots the whole thing back out and then stabs the wall. So I don't know, I tried putting it back in, doing the same thing, and just kick it back out again. So I guess I'm gonna come back over here and try to finish it going that way and see how far we get with that. Okay, so I went over here and I think I got it cut all the way through. It's hard to tell if anything is still connected. It definitely, you know, has some give to it. I don't want to start cutting again for no reason if everything's already disconnected. So at this point I'm just going to tape it, and then once everything else is cut, I'll kind of find out for sure whether that is actually fully cut or not. Yeah, it's really hard to tell in there. There's some kind of black stuff in there. I don't know what the hell that is. I don't know if it's just like the sawed up metal bits or what the hell it is. Well, yeah, so I am going to just say, looks like it's probably good, and just tape it and keep moving on here. Okay, so I came out here to tape it. There's obviously still something in here has to get cut. So the inside is all cut, but however, there's a strip along here where either I need to cut it here, or really anywhere within there. And yeah, so what I'm going to do, you can see like the stab marks from that coming through here. That's crazy. So I'm gonna try to do it just from the inside, so I have to like rerun the wire all the way out here and everything, to get that last bit there. And I can see like about where it is. I'm sure it's right in that pain in the ass area where it wasn't cutting. So I'm gonna get that cut and come back out, and hopefully we'll be good to go. All right, it took 2 tries, but I ended up getting it there. So you can see now there is a straight, well, not necessarily a straight line, but there is a, you know, solid line going from there to there. It's not being blocked by anything. So when everything's cut, this will end up coming out then. So I'm gonna throw some tape on there and then work on the cutting the sides now. All right, so I've been trying to do this without wearing face masks, just wearing the glasses or goggles or whatever the hell you want to call them, because yesterday they were just getting fogged up, and I ended up screwing stuff up. And then I was cutting here, and a chunk flew off and smacked me right in the lips. So then I ended up kind of screwing up the cut and had to stop. So now I do have a little face mask thingy that I'm gonna put on, and try to find some kind of balance between protecting my face and being able to see what the hell I'm doing. So I'm gonna try to now course correct that cut, get back on track to go up and around there. Okay, so overall I think that cut ended up turning out halfway decent considering how it started. Yeah, so I'm gonna go duct tape that all up, and I noticed that the vibration in the saw is the worst when the this black guard thing isn't fully down. So like when I was coming up here, I had to angle it and kind of lift it up a little bit so it would get up on top of this instead of just hitting it, and that's when it was shaking out like really bad. Plus on top of that, that's when this is the most flexible, because I already had cut this whole bottom part, so this was moving, but then that saw really started shaking as soon as I got, you know, a little bit of air basically to lift up onto here. I don't think you can really do anything about that. You just got to kind of deal with the fact that it's gonna suck. But yeah, so I'm gonna tape it, and that's time to do that side, and then I'm almost done sawing, and I'm so happy about that. But I'm not looking forward to doing the sealant at all. Okay, so got that one cut. It was pretty easy going around most of it. For some reason, tons of metal just shooting off towards me today. I don't know if it's something to do with like the blade that's on it, or if there's just windier today or something. I don't know, but I'm glad that I got these goggles on here. But yeah, so once I hit up here, same kind of thing when I had to lift up here, everything started shaking like crazy. And I mean, it was shaking so bad that I couldn't actually tell where the marker line was because it was just vibrating so fast. I had no idea if I was, you know, inside, outside, right on top of it. I had no idea, so I was just, you know, just guessing. But it turns out, looks like it's pretty good. Went kind of like right up to the line, so ended up hitting that one, the hole there, so looks all good. So I'm gonna go duct tape that, and then I just got the center spots to do, and we will be all done cutting here. Okay, so cut that one. By the end of it, similar kind of situation up here, where it's vibrating pretty intensely. I think some of this duct tape is just not holding as well as it did yesterday because it is just colder and windier today, so it just doesn't have that same stickiness to it. Yesterday was a bit warmer. Also, this side gets a little bit less sun than the other side, so that's not helping it either. So that's why it was shaking here. I thought it was on the line, turns out I was not, but pretty close, not a big deal. And I was, you know, I'm supposed to be going inside the line anyway, so no problem, that'll still work fine. I'm gonna tape that, and hopefully everything holds on here long enough that I can cut this without, you know, missing crap because it's shaking so bad or something. Okay, as you can see, that tape isn't doing anything. As I was cutting it, it was actually like sagging down. I don't want to purposely put it in that position and end up, you know, bending the metal in spots I don't want it to be bent. So I'm gonna go back out there and try to re-tape it, I guess. I think it's just so cold right now, it's just not really sticking. Yesterday it stuck fine. I hope that doesn't affect anything with trying to get that, you know, sealant on there and then using that tape to hold it on there. Because right now, you know, the tape is super helpful, but it's not crazy necessary, whereas later when I'm putting the tape on the window, it's very necessary to hold it on there for that, you know, 24-hour period. So I am going to get that tape back on there, put new tape on there if I need to try to finish this last little bit, but I can't get it without it just swinging all over and going crazy. So let's see what happens. Okay, so it's out. I ended up having to do a little bit of an awkward cut here to get the lines to match up, but then it just fell right on out down there somewhere. The tape was just a disaster out there, but I got it to hold on there long enough to at least get that cut. So yeah, I'm gonna go pick up that piece of metal, and then I'm just gonna go around and do all that sanding, filing stuff on here to get it all cleaned up before I put the primer on. Alright, so I got it all cleaned up with the filing tools there. I think it was definitely a better job in some aspects compared to yesterday because I didn't have to go back with the saw and hack any random pieces off. So overall, you know, smoother job. There's definitely, you know, spots here and there where, you know, like this is where that one hole was that I drilled into it, so it went through, you know, the middle of it, so there's still that like half moon shape there, and then this is where that disconnect happened, but nothing crazy. So I got it filed down, smoothed out, especially on the other side where the window's gonna be pushed up against it. I want it to be nice and smooth on there, so it's, and hopefully seal nicely. So yeah, so I am going to scrub this on down a bit, get, you know, a towel just like I did yesterday, clean it all up, wipe it down, and then put that primer on there again for 10 minutes. Okay, so I got that, the outside part of that all cleaned up. So now I'm going to put the primer on there. Got the little brushes in here, got the little thing. I took the sealant inside so we can get a little bit warmed up before I actually heat it up. I actually heated it up over the stove yesterday because it seems to have like metal. It seems like the tube is at least partially made out of metal, so I wasn't going to stick it in the microwave. So I just held it over the stove. But right now I just got in there just because it's warmer inside. And I cut the tip down further to where that marking was, so that should do something different. I'm gonna get a larger amount coming out at once, so maybe it'll be a little bit easier. That's still gonna be super thick and crazy stuff. So gonna go get this primer on and then wait 10 minutes, and it'll be time to come back out here and test out that sealant, see if it actually is gonna be easier or not. All right, so here it is. Did basically the same thing I did last time. Did the outside, did the edge, and then did on the inside as well. I think I made this a little bit like a thicker line going around. I noticed that the guy in that video was watching it, so I don't know if he did it right or not, because again, there's basically no instructions for this. But his was even bigger than this. He really piled that stuff on, went like way out. But I just went around a little bit farther. I figure can't hurt. It's gonna be covered up anyway. So I'm gonna give it 10 minutes, and then right now I'm gonna go inside. We're gonna get that silicone nice and heated up. So when I come out here, hopefully it actually comes in out somewhat. Right. So this is kind of the part that I didn't film a lot yesterday. So I got this out here. Primer's been up there for about 10 minutes. I just brought this out, laid it on a towel, so it's safe. Something I learned yesterday: really hard to get this up once that sealant is all on there, and you don't want to get your hand in it. So what I ended up doing was opening this, and then I could grab it there. Gives you something to hold on to. So I just did that from the start here. Got it open. I already heated up the sealant some, but now I'm gonna kind of reheat it. Like I said, I cut that tip down further, so we'll see how it comes out this time. Last time I didn't really film anything, so you won't be able to see it, but it was real thin. Like I said, I did 2 lines. I did one, and then went around again and did another one next to it, going all the way around. Hoping that the other one is good and holds, and I'm hoping that the duct tape is strong enough to hold this one up, because like I said, it's been having some issues today, I think because of the colder temps on this side of the van, and it's also kind of windy today. So hopefully everything is good and stays secure. So I'm gonna go heat that stuff up, come back out, and this is one of the last big workouts for the day, basically, of trying to get all that crap out of there, and then hopefully I don't make a huge mess this time like I did last time, and it won't be a ton of cleanup, because that was just kind of like just torture at the end, where I thought it was done, and then I was like, oh my god, I have to stand here with my hands just fully up in the air, scrubbing sealant until it finally disappears. Yeah, so I'm gonna go heat it up. Okay, so I got the first layer on there. This is definitely a lot, thicker of a bead compared to last time. They recommend in their brief instructions just being like really anal about having everything perfectly connected and even, but rather than going there and trying to fill in all these little gaps. I mean, some of them are big gaps I gotta fill in, but I'm gonna do another double layer, even though there's a lot more on this than the other beads, the other lines on the other one. Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fill in any large gaps, and then I'm still gonna do the other line. It's so windy, there's just blown all over this. So there was like a leaf stuck in it at one point. I'm just hoping that this towel kind of stays put and doesn't flip onto the sealant, because that would suck. All right, so the window is in there. So I had that sealant on it. I showed that part, and then it's a pretty quick process, and there's really no time to film anything. So basically, just put it up there. Had someone help me out with holding the window in place while I went and checked and see if anything needed to be shifted one way or another. And we had the window cracked open, so I could just say, more that way, more that way. Once it was all in place, I hopped back out, kind of just patted it down, and then just put duct tape all over it. There was really no mess this time. We did a way better job this time. So, I mean, just like pretty much everything with the van so far, the second one ends up being better, as far as, like the wood flooring and everything. So, this one, there's nothing to really worry about cleaning up. Everything's lined up, looks good. This is the screen, I guess, yeah, the window screen. So it's a separate thing. I think I showed that when I first opened up the windows out of the box. The other side of this is Velcro, so you have to peel off the white stuff that blocks the sticky stuff. You stick it on there, so you could always just pop this off if you wanted to have it just completely open, and then stick the Velcro back on. And then this side, there's like glossy black stuff that kind of matches the glass, but it's just a pain to get off. The other one had a little I don't know if it was by accident, but it had like a kind of a ripple spot, and so it made it a lot easier to get off this one. I've been just picking at this tiny little spot here for a while, and that wind is picking up and it's freezing. And so yeah, I'm just trying to get this off, and once that's off, this is all good to go. I got taped in even more secure than the other one because I have no plans of driving at all today, so eventually that one over there is going to be essentially sealed and be able to get the duct tape off as long as everything's good. I definitely use less sealant. Here we go. I definitely use less sealant on the other side compared to this one because of how small the opening was on the tube initially. I opened it up a lot more today. Alright, so there it is. So that is completed. So I'm hoping that it ends up being good. That one on the other side, it doesn't have any issues. Like I said, once they're both like totally done, solidified, I am gonna end up going around with that white sealant. I just gotta pick up some like painter's tape to cover up the window while I do that. So that way it won't really help hold it in there at all, but it will help with any potential leaking that could happen. But yeah, so in the meantime, not really anything else to do window wise today. I think I'm just gonna work on cleaning some of this stuff up, figuring out where the hell I'm gonna put all that insulation since I have no use for it at this current time, until I actually start doing like the walls and stuff, because if I try to stuff that stuff in, you know, that opening around the window, there's nothing to stuff it into. It's just gonna, you know, fall down. So yeah, so until I get all the like the wiring in here and everything else, I'm not gonna be worrying about that. And I don't have a ladder right now, and my arms and shoulder and everything are just too dead to be worrying about cutting even more holes up there for either the fan or solar or anything like that. So I think for right now I'm just gonna work on cleaning this up, figuring out where I'm gonna put the insulation, like I said, doing some sweeping because there's just metal shavings all over the place, and then just putting away tools, that kind of stuff. Otherwise, I don't think there's really anything else I can really do today, unless I wanted to completely clear everything out and worry about the work on the sealant. But I don't think I'm going to do that quite yet, because I'm going to end up doing silicone going around the edges, just to add protection for any potential moisture getting under there, because I don't know how well that wood stuff is going to hold up. It's definitely holding up better in the edges than it is in the middle, but still just long term. And that's all going to be hidden anyway, so having, you know, white strip of silicone going around doesn't really matter. So yeah, I think I'm going to hold off on that, and then I also have to figure out what I'm doing with this middle, because everything just keeps popping out of there. So I'm going to have to figure out something to put in there besides that wood filler stuff, because it just keeps cracking and coming out. So for right now, I think it's just going to be just cleaning, getting everything looking nice and organized and all that. Okay, so I was about to throw out some of that cardboard for like the template and stuff, and I thought maybe this could go to good use. So I stuffed it under there as far back as it would go. Just cut up a couple different slices there, and stuffed it under there, and now I mean, you can't really tell through the video, but it seems a lot more stable, even though it's not actually doing anything for this edge that's hanging out here. Overall, the board itself feels a lot better. So randomly fix that for the most part. Yeah, I don't know how much you can really do about this part that's overhanging. Nothing. But yeah, at least it feels a lot more stable here. So I'm gonna just get all this stuff squeezed out of here, swept out, I don't know. And still gotta figure out where I'm putting that insulation. Alright, so I got it pretty well cleaned up in here. I didn't like mop or anything, but I swept everything out, got that insulation out of here. I don't know how well you can see with the lighting, but I think it looks pretty nice. You can definitely still see, especially towards this side, that stain difference. But as you get over here, it becomes a little hard to tell. So I think just a general dirtiness factor of it, the fact that there's just you know, a layer of dust and dirt from walking on it that is kind of giving it that off color, that real light color. So I think once I really get this real cleaned up, I'm hoping that it'll kind of all blend in together. Whereas this stuff is newer and hasn't gotten as much chance to get dirty. So I'm guessing that's why it's still so kind of sticks out so much from everything else around it. But I could be totally wrong. I don't know. So yeah, so that is all looking nice there. So that's all the solar stuff. Some wood. Yeah, so it's all looking good in here. I think that's pretty much it for the day. Unless my arms are feeling a little bit better later, who knows, maybe I'll get out here and do some silicone around the edges, but right now I'm ready to go inside and take a much needed break. I'm just happy I got this in so fast today. Definitely took way less time today since I actually kind of knew what I was doing. Never figured out what the hell is the point of those, you know, as I call them, the pyramids that stick down. As you can see here, these ones are sticking fully out just like the other ones. But then it has those, you know, other, I hope this is, you know, light enough in here that you can see what's happening, but you know, the rectangles that extend down beyond that, it just seems like it makes it not flush. I mean, it's all on there. Like I said, I'm planning on doing silicone around the outside again anyway to really help reinforce and try to not have any rain coming in. You can see some of the silicone because the lines coming out of this were so much thicker than the other one. They ended up just taking up more space when I put them next to each other. So you definitely have some silicone, that black stuff on the inside here just hanging out, which isn't a big deal. It's all going to eventually be covered up. Whereas over here, you don't have that popping out because they were real thin lines. Like I said, I'm really hoping that when I take the tape off of this and start driving around, it's going to be okay. Because I mean, it's basically like a pass or fail here. It's either going to work or it's going to fall out and break, and I'm going to have a big gaping hole in here and have to wait for them to ship out another. And these are on back order constantly because of like the pandemic and everything else. So like I said, I think right now when I checked yesterday when I was looking at the instructions, it said like back ordered until April or something. Like if you order now, it'll start shipping then. So really hoping that this thing stays in place, because if it doesn't, there's no, I don't think there's any chance of it being salvageable. I think if it's gonna fall out, it's gonna fall out when I'm driving down the road and it's gonna smash onto the you know, pavement. So hopefully it holds. I will obviously update you if it doesn't hold, because that's gonna be a major huge pain in the ass. So those are in there. I think that's gonna probably wrap it up for this video, like I said, unless I end up changing my mind and coming back out here. But the way my shoulders are feeling right now, I cannot wait to just go in, sit down and just watch stupid YouTube videos and eat some food and not even think about moving until further notice. So most likely this is it for this week, so I will see you guys next week.